Oh my god, that crop for my avatar is amazing.
I'll check the stream if audio's working.
Yeah. I mean, like, you sent me a square avatar to fit into a rectangular box.
No, that's a good one. I like it.
You're gonna make it work with what you get. We'll talk soon, okay? Souls will be enabled quite soon. Alright, then I guess the first thing I should be doing is to introduce the two new members of the podcast who are here today. Because today we have the full Guild Wars 2 Exchange crew. So the one we've been working with on the subreddit. So on the top left corner is a picture taken from Enko's inventory. A picture he made back at the POF release to praise Joko. And in the bottom left corner, we have our good old Dan, who is the founder of the Exchange subreddit. And
Hello.
yeah, that's it. I guess you two are gonna... I mean, oh yeah, sure, Enko, you can do that. I mean, you two should introduce yourselves.
Oh, do it,
actually.
man.
Yeah,
I love drama.
Just go with it. Just go with it.
So I
Did
guess
you check
I'll
audio to
go
make
ahead.
sure audio's working on your stream yet?
Sounds working just fine.
Sounds like we're good.
Yeah, everything's perfect.
Oh. I think some of the names in here I see, I think most of them already know this story.
That's fine. I'm sure more people would love to hear it.
So, those of you guys on Many of the Economy Discord, I'm sure you guys have heard of someone named Cello Frag. So, my first interaction with Cello had to do with this screenshot, actually, because he had posted a video of how to praise Joko, and he was using junk items. And I responded with a post with this screenshot, which he then promptly stole and posted it as his own on Reddit to farm karma on there. And everybody was like, "Oh, how do you have so much gold? How do you get all those items?" And he finally credited me after I called him out on it, like quite a bit later. But yeah, that was my very first interaction with Cellofrag. I didn't even realize it was him that did it until like a month ago. That picture was posted like a long time ago. Wonder if I can find that thread.
I think like when you saw he actually stole the picture, you deleted it from Imgur and you re-uploaded it on a different link, which made his post completely like got shredded. Like, there was nothing he could do to redeem himself in the end. But he still said, I think, that the picture was his like a few times before you took the link down and proved that it was yours rightly. But I mean, then again, if we go by content stealing, he also borrowed a thumbnail for videos from Nike. Like, Nike has that Etherblade Pants booty, and if you see that on a thumbnail, you know it's Nike's, not somebody else's. Oh, yeah,
there is the original post where he's like, "How to praise joke with 100k gold," and then that's the one I posted afterwards.
With 100k gold, okay, I need to open these so I can get it back in my memory. Well, of course, silver. Like, I'm his. Wait, what was the name again? Ghostwriter. There we go.
Oh my god, the image is missing.
Ah, yeah, the image is gone. I mean, his account is banned from Guild Wars 2 Reddit now, so he can't even post there.
His account plus 60 alts.
I mean, I got banned because of him, so... Oh well, whatever. Alright, maybe Dan, introduce yourself now?
Yes, hello. My name is Dan Days. I am the creator of Exchange. I've been playing the Guild Wars franchise off and on since like early Prophecies. Was big into PvP back in the day. Ran halls like nearly nightly with a bunch of friends. But that kind of just, well, didn't fall apart. But you know, as the game got older, more and more people kind of just drifted away to other things. Like myself and my group mostly ended up playing League and had a lot of fun on that. Was super excited for Guild Wars 2 when it first came out. and had a blast for the first month or so with the PvP, but I don't know. Everyone kind of realized that wasn't going to be a huge thing there. So I moved on to PvE. Eventually ended up in a guild with Enko here, LOD, which was always kind of one of the semi-top PvE guilds at the time. Got big into raids, ran with them for the first... I think we had some top 5 clears, right? It was pretty close.
Yeah, for wing 1 through 4.
Yeah, 1 through 4. And during that whole time in Guild Wars 2, I've always been big into the economy. For most of, well, not for most of it, but I started out just doing kind of normal flips and investing. The big thing that really made me hit it big was when they had the first Winners Day event that had the Winner's Presents, where they were kind of going over on stream hey, we're gonna add this new item. It's gonna have a bunch of really previously invaluable stuff. That turned into some very, very valuable items, turned out. What ended up happening is back the day the patch dropped, hopped in, had a full inventory of all the stuff that I thought might be used in the Mystic Forge recipes. Immediately found the Winner's Presents recipe. Went, oh wow, the runes and sigils are worth nothing, and they're going to be worth a giant pile of money. And essentially threw all of my funds into that at the time, and hit it big, really.
If you guys are wondering, they were 2 copper each back then.
I don't think they were 2 copper, but they were under
copper.
a silver.
You bought them up to 11 copper.
I think it was higher than that, but it was, needless to say, they weren't worth very much, and then increased in price many times overnight. Since then, I've just been kind of doing weird, just random not random, but been doing a lot of speculation, buying up things that I think will be used in future patches, and then sometimes reselling them, sometimes not so much. But the ones that I have hit it big have made a ton of gold off of that. What ended up leading me to start Exchange, actually, was I had gotten a chalk egg sack back in the day. Well, I originally got one when they were still going for, a couple thousand gold, legendary price. But shortly after Dolphy released her video on them, and people realized how rare they were, they just completely shot up in value. And we learned that there was the 10k TP or the 10k trading post cap. But because everyone valued the chalk egg sacks more than 10k, I couldn't sell it. There was no way to legitimately sell it. If I wanted to actually sell that chalk egg sack for what it was worth, I would have had to RMT. So that essentially led me to creating the Guild Wars 2 Exchange subreddit to create a platform for people to use for those high value trades. Now, since then, it's obviously blown up into a much bigger thing than I ever expected it to be. People are using it for, selling a stack Ectos, which I see why people do it, but still it seems kind of silly to me, honestly. And here we are.
It's indeed been a very long way, to be fair. It was also the first place all the more expensive infusions got exchanged beyond the first one being listed on the trading post. I think that every infusion made its way to Guild Wars 2 Exchange within the first few drops on the trading post. Be it the confetti one, the crystal one, more recently the canio one. Everything goes through Exchange when it's deemed to be very expensive. Or that it has the potential to be very expensive.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, I was a big Guild Wars 1 player, I really wish ANET would just add direct player trading. I see why they don't, but because there is that need for direct trades, that's kind of why Exchange exists.
I mean, it's very important. Like I remember back when exchange didn't exist. Like I was trading legendaries left and right. Pretty much what Souls, who is still not ready, would be doing now. It was such a hassle to have to contact all the people one by one, ask them if they knew somebody else, get a few friends into a World vs. World deal because they got the Gift of Battle faster than the others, and set up everything. And now you can just get onto the platform and find like-minded individuals who just have something that you are looking for and they want the gold that you have. So everything can be done very easily and very simply. That's the value of what you've created with the Exchange subreddit.
Yeah, no, it kind of just it really did blow up more than I ever expected it to.
Oh yeah, I remember when you wrote to us every month or so. Oh my god, guys, the subreddit is getting so much traction. Look at all the people that are using it now. We'd see the graph always going up further and further with each month that passed.
Oh yeah, the big one. Well, not the big one, but one of the big spikes was definitely after that. That video with Guild MM and WP and a bunch of the other TP Guild members, and that was a lot of extra work, honestly. But a ton of new traffic too.
I mean, the thing that's very funny is that even though I don't write at all on the subreddit, I get a shit ton of messages on Discord when people asking questions or needing help, and they've somehow managed to realize that I am French. So I'm getting all the French people, and they're very horrible to deal with, I gotta say.
Good, I don't have to deal with
True.
them.
Yeah, I mean, you guys don't have to because I get all of them. But still, I'd rather not get all of them. Oh well. But that's...
Well, I mean, that is why I brought you guys on, because I'd rather not get all of them.
Makes sense, yeah. What's very interesting, though, in what you've said is that you started with playing PvP and then you moved on to PvE. And like that was one thing I got the impression of when I was starting with Guild Wars 2, is that a lot of PvP players, due to the fact that they weren't generating quite enough income as a PvE player would, actually got more into the trading part of things. Like I saw more PvP players looking into player-to-player exchange and even doing trading post stuff, because simply AFKing on a map wasn't gonna get them any money.
Oh yeah, no, you got like nothing. You were living in the poorhouse if you were a PvPer.
Yeah, exactly. So more like I feel that more PvPers are into the economical aspect of stuff, but it might just be my impression. I might be wrong.
Well, it is just another form of PvP too. Market True. PvP.
Market PvP. But yeah, and so Dan and Enko, you two met back in LOD, right? Or did you know each other prior to this?
I met you in Guild Wars 2, right?
Yeah. No, we met back in LOD.
Okay, well,
back when
I was
in
still LOD in Guild Wars 1, so... Yeah, but... I don't remember when you started playing with this. I don't remember.
It was like, it was when Eris was still leader. Like, it was pretty early on.
These are names I don't even know. Like, I'm so far away from the American PvE scene. I mean, NA PvE scene, I should say. Like, beyond DNT, I didn't play with anybody.
There really wasn't much beyond DNT, honestly.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Like, LOD was always, like, one of the tier 2 guilds. And then... Who were the other big ones at the time? Like, Ren? Which I'm surprised that they're still around.
Ren was start getting bigger later.
I mean, I remember all the small guilds that had people writing on the Guild Wars 2 forums all the time. Like the Daily Dungeons group of people, stuff like that. There were a lot of people who were active on the forums. And like some of them were DNT, but a fair bit of them were around Ren, LOD, and some other smaller guilds. That was a very nice time, to be fair. And that actually would be a good time to introduce like what you did, Enko, as a player, beyond simply getting into the economy and what you've done there. But you were saying that you also started playing with Guild Wars 1, right?
Yeah, so my history with ANET, like I started playing Guild Wars 1 probably like 4 or 5 months after Prophecies launched. Well, this was before it was called Prophecies. I was playing City of Heroes at the time, and then my roommate got me playing Guild Wars 1. I remember being so excited when I got my first platinum in the game, because that was like 10 hours into the game, I guess. But yeah, so I was mainly a PvE player. I was never a PvP player really, unless I needed it to get something. Started doing most of the economy stuff in Guild Wars 1. I mainly used it as a trade simulator back then. Got really big into selling unID'd items, unID'd golds to people. I think I sold like 7 people their full wisdom title, like 10,000 INDs each. So there was a whole like supply scheme back then. Like if you think about what Guild MM's doing right now with the level of the legendaries, like the entire supply chain, I was basically doing that by myself, like in Guild Wars 1, with unIDs, making around like 600-700% ROI on any. Actually, I think it was more than that. I was buying unIDs for 50 copper and then selling it to people to ID them for like 1.5k and then give me the items back as well. So I was probably making like a good like 4,000% profit, I think, on those things.
How do you not just get scammed though? Like if you give people the items to ID them and then they return
I
you
give them
the
7,
correct
they
thing.
ID them, send them back. I would only do 7 at a time because that's how much you could trade at the time. That was also when bots were kind of running rampant, so you could get a lot of really cheap IDs back then. Got into the spam-it-in trading. A lot of that was where you learn the psychology of players, like how to buy low and sell really high. Then like back then, like I joined LOD back then because they were one of the speedrunners guilds back then. So like I remember being on like the initial DOA runs, like those were 4.5 hours long, and we eventually got it down to like under 20 minutes, I guess. But yeah, I remember doing all that stuff. But the economy stuff was always what I was always stuck with. Like it was pretty easy to make like 300 or 400k in like an afternoon in Camden if you knew what you were doing. So then Guild Wars 2 came out, and I kind of kept doing that. Though heavy moldy bags, I think, was like the first thing I started doing. So yeah, Dan, you said like you didn't really get your economy really into like until like the Winter's Day with the shoulders being introduced.
Well, that was my first big hit. I did all kinds of little stuff. Like,
yeah,
I remember,
I had constantly done little stuff, processing and like spreadsheet tracking like from the start. So yeah, heavy moldy bags is what I did originally because you could get them for like 50 copper and each and get like tens of thousands of them in an afternoon from the TP, and those all sold for very, very, very good profit. After that, it's just been processing. Like I think until recently, I've been doing the same thing on the economy for the past 5 years. And it was just a simple 150, 200 gold a day, like doing the exact same thing every single day for it. And then just trying to eke out as much profit as possible. But yeah, so as far as the guild history goes, yeah, we were at LOD in Guild Wars 1, and then that came over to Guild Wars 2. I was an officer in Guild Wars 1 basically because nobody else wanted to do it. And then Guild Wars 2, yeah, when Eris left, I got put in charge, and that was like for 2 years, and then we kind of shut it down first because there's a lot less interest. But most of the people in here probably know Eris because she sells like the instances for raids. But like prior to that, we were selling raids, and then prior to that, kind of more of the higher NPV guilds on NA, I guess. Never really could compare to EU just because EU had so many more active players. But yeah, nowadays I'm just working on trying to reach a goal of getting like 1,500 gold a day, I guess. Just working on trying to get over 1 million account value, and then continuing my goals. Right now, my current goal is to get 32 slot bags for all my characters. So 6,000 more Supreme Runes of Holding to go, and then I'll be there, I guess. That's gonna take me a long time to do, especially at current prices.
Yeah, since it went higher in price, it's gonna be harder.
Yeah, that's. How much is that? That's gonna cost 75,816 gold right now to get that many Supreme Runes at this current price.
Yeah,
that's kind of what's going on with me right now. I haven't been playing PvE as much as I used to, just because Icebird Saga hasn't really been doing much. So yeah, it's mainly just TP stuff. One of these days I need to go back and actually finish all the achievements from like Season 3 and Season 4.
Yeah, I still need to do these as well. But one of the remarks you made earlier is actually very interesting, because you said Kamadan was where you learned all about the psychology of players, how to buy low and sell high, and moving from a player-to-player market, which was the way Guild Wars 1 worked, to a market that is actually centralized onto a trading post. How did you apprehend that change? How did that work for you?
So, well, the same lessons learned in Guild Wars 1 also apply in Guild Wars 2. The biggest thing you need to realize about the player base, and I don't mean what I'm about to say in an offensive way, but players are lazy. So if they're buying something, they're typically going to see the first person that's selling what they want. They'll just say yes, no matter what the price is, because unless it's a really, really big ticket item, like I have always dealt in high velocity, high supply items that are low price. I just do them in mass quantities. So back in Guild Wars 1, I like a lot of it at the end was like elite tome selling. So if someone's buying like an elite writ tome, if you have a want to sell for 20k, a lot of people would just take it because it's the first one they saw, and they don't want to take the time to wait for a good price because they just want to buy the item and then get back to playing the game. Okay, and then likewise, if they have the item they want to sell it, so like an elite writ tome, I would be buying them for 3k and be selling them for 20k, because if someone's selling it, as soon as they see someone wanting to buy it, a lot of times they'll take the first one. So a lot of that's just patience, and there are more people willing to get those to sell and buy at those prices to you than like just waiting for 5 minutes for someone else. So a lot of the times you just gotta, back then it was like pure just flipping. You just had to know how to flip a lot. So that mentality where a player trying to buy something will usually take the first item, and a player want to sell something will usually take the first want to buy that they see. The way that translates into Guild Wars 2, and you see this on a lot of people's streams, where it's like you'll see them clearing the inventory and they'll instant sell their items because they don't want to have to deal with. They don't want to have to post an item on the TP and then wait for it to sell. They just list it. They just instant sell it to the top bidder, and then when they're buying something, they just instant buy it. So, same lessons learned from there, except instead in Guild Wars 1, where you're dealing on a player-to-player, like an individual basis, just dealing with people in Camden. On Guild Wars 2, you're dealing with both NA and EU because you're dealing with the trading post. But because of that, there's also a lot more competition, because if you put a buy order on something, everybody else is also buying against you. So while in Guild Wars 1 you just had the want to buy and the LFG, so if 20 other people were trying to buy the same item, you didn't really have to change your price. So you could always just keep lowballing people, and eventually you'll get it just because enough people will be selling it. It's just about consistency and persistence. But Guild Wars 2, it's like if I want to buy something, I have to make sure my bids are like the top bid by 1 copper. Same thing when I'm selling something. Typically speaking, you're going to need to monitor them to list them. Also need to know like when the highs and lows of the listing prices are, because we have the listing tax, the 5% tax on here. You can't just list something if you get undercut, then you just cancel and list it again because you will lose gold. But a lot of it is just understanding the velocity of items in this one, and understanding the mentality that a lot of players will just instant buy things. So that's like the psychology of the players for it. It's just that people don't want, like the normal players, they don't want to sit there waiting for an item to come in. They will just instant buy it.
Which is, we have always said, the wrong move, because patience is what gets you richer.
So if you look at Twitch right now, we've got 900. Well, how many streamers do we have right now? We've got I wish this would just tell us how many total there were. We probably got like 50 streamers on, which isn't a lot. But if you watch any of them, the majority of them, when they're trying to clear their inventory, you'll watch some of them will just vendor it. They'll just vendor everything, exotics, rares, whatever.
Oh no!
Some people, they'll just instant sell it. You see very few people who are trying to I'll lower this by 1 copper. I'll just list it lower by 1 copper, and just let the gold come in. Like the item will sell eventually, unless it's like something like huge supply came in. But you very rarely see streamers doing that because they don't want to sit there on the TP just like waiting for it. You'll also see some people where instead of undercutting by 1 copper or bidding by 1 copper, they'll drop the price by like a gold, because for some reason they'll think that makes their item sell faster when it really doesn't. Because again, you have to look at what the mentality of the average player is. They're just going to instant buy that item if they want it right away, no matter the cost. Again, a lot of this stuff goes away with higher items, But you're talking about the general ingredients for items, crafting materials, ectos, mystic coins. If someone's going to buy something, instant buy it, they're not going to really look at the price. They're just going to buy it. Like, you're not really going to see that behavior change until you go over like 100 gold. But for all the cheaper stuff, that's why it's pointless to undercut by more than 1 copper. Because if you have an item that's 2 gold, and I list it for a gold 99.99, 1 copper under, and you list it for a gold 50, whoever's buying that nest, they're just going to hit buy. It doesn't matter. So if you list yours at gold 50, you just lost out on that 50 silver minus the tax. Okay, so you do that often enough, that 50 silver, multiply that by a million times, not even a million, like 500,000 times, which is a little probably more reasonable for most people. That gold adds up.
Yep.
But you see a lot of people, and there's a certain somebody who is trying to show flipping videos where he was undercutting exotics by like 50 silver, like a gold. He was undercutting higher items for a lot more, and it's just like it defeats the purpose. Like, your goal, if you're going to do this, you got to be patient, and you want to eke out as much profit as possible per item. Like, the people who are undercutting by more than a copper, they're just shooting themselves in the foot.
Agreed.
So,
there are some occasions where undercutting by more than 1 copper actually makes sense. Like, if the only time you log into Guild Wars 2 is to do your weekly raids, you should actually just undercut by more than 1 copper in order to make sure that your weapon sells right away. Because everybody gets their raid drops on Monday, and the exotic market plummets every Monday and then recovers throughout the week. So actually on Monday it makes sense to go for a bit lower than just the 1 copper.
The thing about legendaries is actually, in fact, the thing about legendaries is you need to actually be careful when you're listing them. Like, you can do 1 copper undercuts doing them, but it's a lot safer to be doing like a couple gold, especially if you're more reliant on not having your assets frozen on the trading post. It's very important you don't list greedily like a 1 copper undercut, and list maybe within, like, take more time management into consideration than profit. But that's purely just for the legendary market.
So
it can work for some other things as well.
I did say that a lot of the logic that I use goes out the window a little bit when you get to more expensive items. So the people that are instant buying legendaries, they're probably not going to care if it drops by 50, 100 gold. Like, so with legendaries, like, the mentality is going to be is like somebody who's instant buying those. Some of those people actually do monitor the price and they'll wait for the price drops. So if someone does undercut by like 50 gold or like 100 gold even, a lot of people that are instant buying legendaries, like those are expensive enough that people will usually check the prices. So when I say you should only undercut by 1 copper, I'm usually generally talking about items that the people who instant buy, they don't really care about the price. Now legendaries, because they're a lot pricier, and that's why I said, like, you'll probably see this kind of behavior more for anything above 100 gold. People will actually notice, like, if there's an item that usually sells for 100 gold and someone listens for 80 gold, the people who are watching those things, they will buy those things quickly. But when we're talking about an item that's usually 5 silver, most people who are instant buying those aren't going to care if you drop by 1 copper or drop to 5 silver. But they're just going to buy it whatever. But if you're buying a legend, you're only buying 1 item of those things usually. So again, the items I usually deal in are high supply items. So if I list a stack of them for 1 copper and someone else lists a stack of them for a silver under, again, the instant buyers aren't going to pay attention to that. If I'm listing legendaries, though, I'm only going to list 1. Those are very, very much lower velocity items. You'll probably, like, I'm only going to sell 1 once a week. Well, actually, I don't sell legendaries at all. I stay out of that market, but for the most part. Those items, people will notice when you drop 50 gold, because generally speaking, the people who are going to buy those things, they've got the gold and they are monitoring those prices because it is such a large purchase.
Yes.
I don't know. There are times where you do actually want to aggressively undercut, like during if you're trying to sell certain things off, like during a new Living Story episode or during a festival or something new got introduced that just spiked up in price, then it is worth it to undercut just to dump your supply.
Yeah, I mean,
some of those do depend on scenarios, but I'm generally talking about the normal behavior with no new influence from game changes.
Oh yeah, for like T6s, whatever. Yeah, you just 1 copper it. It was always the most like infuriating thing when you're like trying to sell like T6 blood and someone drops the price by like 3 silver. It's like, dude, what the hell?
I mean, I just list at the next higher price, and I'm like, I'll wait. I'm good.
Well, I mean, when you want to talk about pet peeves on the trading post, I will never understand the people who list a bunch of their, like, they'll list like 2 stacks of an item, 1 copper above the order price.
Oh, but like, I think
that's probably
actually
a misclick though.
Yeah, I mean,
like I've seen this consistently enough with some items. Like there'll be 500 ordered at like 1 silver 50 copper, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the sell price is like 250, and you'll see someone list 2 stacks for 151.
Like the thing is that actually,
it's like
it can happen when you're instant selling an item. You fill the demand up to where it ends, and then if there is demand 1 copper below, and you click sell, it's just gonna list at the price at which you sold before, which was 1 copper above the now biggest buy order. It actually happened to me, and that tilted me. I was cleaning up the trading post on one of my alts, and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna take all the items, dump them to the buy orders, and move on with the account because I needed space. I just started selling to the highest bidder, and at some point I realized I was listing 1 copper above the highest bidder because I had completely filled I think it was like a 15k buy order. I finished filling it, and I was just listing at the same price.
Yeah.
That was dumb.
I miss how the TP used to be at the beginning of the game, because if you were listings to sell orders, once you were done with the current sell order, it would then just move on to the next price.
Yep.
And it was the same thing with the buy orders, or with when you were listing, when you were buying stuff too. So like, if you try to buy a 250 of something, but there was only 100 at that current price, it would just include 150 for the next highest price. So you could buy a full stack, and it would just take the first 250 in the queue. Yep. Like they changed that at some point, and I don't know why. It was really annoying when they changed that.
There's another thing they changed that really annoyed me. I don't know if you guys remember, but at some point, if you sold an item for 1 copper, it just took into account the highest buy order. And there were so many legendaries I sold without paying taxes. Man, that was a sweet life. Never paying my taxes. Yeah, like I mean, it was worth selling legendaries to the buy orders. Man, it was such good money.
I still remember there was someone in our guild who did it like right after the patch and lost their whole.
Oh my god, that must have stung.
He sold a dusk for 1 copper. So the guy got the dusk for 1 copper and then got like 800 gold refunded back to him.
Yeah, like the refund was incredible. So, I had a friend.
So every patch, like after that was going on, and they said they're going to fix it. Before I sold any of that TP, I always tested that to make sure if they fixed it or not first before selling anything that was over a silver.
Yeah, I mean, you did good to do that. Like I had a friend who just wanted to complete some of his wardrobe, and he had buy orders on like all the Aetherized skins back when they were actually expensive.
Oh no, the fractal patch.
He got so many Aetherized skins for 1 copper because somebody came back to the game with them and just sold them for 1 copper to him. So he got like 2k gold back and a full set of Aetherized skins. And that was back when they were a few hundred gold, because of course Fracture had made them not worth anymore.
Oh, so he lucked out then. I was worried.
Completely lucked out.
Yeah. He was away during the Fractured patch, and like all of his orders got filled.
Yeah, like some people are just lucky like that. But yeah, like I don't think any people would actually do that nowadays. The trying to sell at 1 copper to see if they can actually get the money without paying the tax. I would actually
think most people are still playing the game probably weren't even around when the TP acted like that, so they wouldn't even try it.
Yeah, true. I mean, a lot of the old crew completely moved on from the game, but the economy, like, there is no other game that has an economy just like Guild Wars 2, so there is no reason to move on to another game for the economy, I think. Guild Wars 2 still has a very good one, and whenever there is a new event or whenever there is a new release, I'm always looking forward to the economical implications behind it. Well, that's what brings the content.
New patches are super fun. Like, not
surprisingly, Guild Wars 2's economy compared to other MMOs is actually pretty stable. Like right now, it's kind of stale, but it's actually pretty stable compared to a bunch of other games.
Yep.
Yeah, like one of my favorite things like nowadays is I I don't even really play the content anymore. It's more like hopping on for that patch to try and figure out what has changed and like what items will be pushed up in price because of like a new skin that's been added.
And that's what makes you a TP Baron.
Mm-hmm.
Literally just instead of playing the content, making gold.
And the trading post is the content. That's all we need at the end.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a content within itself.
That's still only like a couple of hours every couple of months, you know?
Yeah.
At least for me.
Are any of you guys actually reading the Twitch chat?
Yeah, I am.
I'm
Okay,
not right
well,
now.
I guess I'll answer some questions that. So, Silvers was asking about the 00 copper guy. So that is in reference to a certain somebody who keeps listing, like, instead of undercutting by 1 copper, he undercuts down to the nearest silver. And I was noticing this on selling runes and sigils. This guy single-handedly dropped transfer and sigils from a 70% profit down to 30% profit. Because he kept listing like 40 to 50 of them at the next 0 copper. And then if someone undercut him, he would then list another 40 to 50 of them at the next 0 copper and kept doing that. And I actually talked to this guy and he said that he found this new trick that was making him sell 30% more runes a day. But if you actually looked at it, he has like, last time I checked, he had like 1,200 transfer sigils stuck on the trading post because he kept undercutting himself.
That's like
he was doing it constantly.
I mean, when you undercut yourself, you always feel super dumb. Like at some point I bought, like when the topic wardrobe came up, I bought so many tonics and I actually realized over an entire year, I undercut myself on a few select tonics over 500 times. And I feel really dumb about it. I was just like, oh, I see some of my tonics sold. I'm just going to list a few more. And I'm undercutting by 1 copper each time. And after some time, I realized that it was maybe 4 out of the 5 tonics I listed that sold only. And I had like increments of 1 or 2 tonics at a few prices above mine. My own tonics. So now I'm just waiting for the day where either people are interested in tonics or I'm just bored enough and take them off and list them.
Yeah, I'm sitting on a huge pile of tonics still.
Oh, Dan, please don't. Just don't. Just forget they exist.
Sam, that's actually another thing I miss about the old trading post. Because the old trading post, if you put a buy order in on something, you could look at the list of prices and it would tell you where your highest bid was.
Oh yeah.
So it was really easy to tell like when you had a buy order in and like what you bid for it. And same thing on the listing price. So if you listed something at 2 silver and then someone else undercut you a bunch of stuff, it would say where you could see in the price list where your lowest offer was or your lowest listing was. So you wouldn't undercut yourself. They got rid of that at the same time when they changed the behavior with how the buy orders and when you were listing stuff, how that interaction changed. I don't know why they got rid of that because that was a really useful tool. Like now, if you want to check, you basically have to go into your listed items and then like search for the item and look what you listed it for last time. So it went from a quick glance to something that takes like 20 to 30 seconds to actually verify now.
Agreed. Speaking still about tonics,
when did they actually do that change?
That change was probably like a year and a half in the game. It was before Hot came out.
I would, if I'm not mistaken, that was 2015.
I was still doing heavy moldy bags at the time, so
that was after I did heavy moldy bags. Oh, 2014. Okay, never mind. I thought.
Man, I gave up on those. Like when it really felt like during a certain period of time they were just like heavily botted. Like it was impossible to have a like.
Oh no! When the bots were going hard in ore, that's when.
No, I mean the TP bots. Oh, like when you would try and place a buy order and you'd get immediately outbid, like no matter what time of the day.
Oh yeah, man, that was.
Wait, for heavy moldy bags. That might have been me doing that to you, Dan. Because
I was just like in general.
I was talking to you about it at the time, so I know.
Oh, that's when we were talking about how you beat the TP bots. So for the people watching, you want to beat a TP. Well, if you notice that
probably doesn't work anymore.
And you immediately get outbid, so you outbid them, and you immediately get outbid, and it keeps happening. You could generally see a pattern if you get immediately outbid every 3 minutes, because that's when actually it's 5 minutes whenever the API updates, because that's how the bots know that they need to re-upload their prices. You could actually trick some of them by putting in the buy order 1 copper under the lowest listed price, and then you'll see like a full stack of it disappear because they'll start buying from the listed prices. Like they'll start instant buying them because they'll go 1 copper higher than the buy order, which is the listed price. And because of how the way the TP works, you'll just buy an entire. They'll just keep buying it. So I actually, which item was this on? Crap, I can't remember what time it was. I got a TP bot to buy it from like a silver 50 up to like 12 silver because they just kept buying it.
Yeah, that's pretty good, to be fair. Like, speaking about the tonics from earlier, one of the things that really annoyed me is, like, I think it was 6 months ago, someone listed 3,000 Quaggan tonics at 25 silver. They still haven't sold. I still have 6,000 to sell after them. They're never gonna sell. At some point, I'm just gonna mail people Quaggan tonics and block them so they can't send back.
Oh yeah, I stocked up on like the, I forget what it's called, but the expensive one that lets you transform into like a bunch of different ones.
Yeah, the
I figured, you get that one, it'll unlock all the other transforms.
Nope.
No, it's just strictly worse because you don't get to pick which one you're gonna use.
That
so like, not that huge stack.
Yeah, black and blue tonics worked wonders, and I'm stuck with 6,000 green tonics. These ones are shit. The Quaggan looks dumb as all fuck. Nobody wants them.
I think what's something.
Yeah, Sam, you say that, but I was able to unload all of mine.
What?
I was able to get rid of all my Quaggan tonics.
Oh my god. Fuck you.
That's probably why yours aren't selling, because I've been undercutting you, probably.
Jesus. I mean, I don't care that much about it. They're just gonna sell one day, you know? Like in 2025, I'm pretty sure it's gonna work.
So what'll make me so happy is if like they do announce Guild Wars 3 and there's like a Hall of Monuments 2.0 and it includes like all the novelties.
Oh yeah, man.
Oh
that would save me so much. That would actually be able to move my gold to Guild Wars 3 then.
Like that's why it is kind of like, obviously you don't want to do it if you need the capital, but like holding on to like random obscure stuff, like just as long as it's part of the wardrobe, it might have value someday. Obviously, that's a long shot, but
I still have 3 characters full of just like random items that I'm hoping ANET will eventually use for something.
No, I mean I finally gave up on my guild bank full of fireworks back from like 2014.
But did you give up?
But I held them for like 5 years.
But did you give up on the scribing materials? Because I remember, Dan, every single patch you were like, okay, now it's time for describing materials.
So there was one patch. There was one patch where they remade it, and I made a decent chunk off of it.
Man,
but I still have all of those damn lumber cores, and I don't understand why they're not adding more trees. Like, you think it'd be the easiest thing to do.
But people love the worst. I bought stuff because you said I'm not home, I need somebody to buy stuff. I finally sold the 80,000 pieces of Mother of Pearl you made me buy a year ago. They finally sold last week. Fuck it.
That's awesome.
I mean, I made profit on it, but it took a year and it's stuck in alt. I couldn't play on that alt for a year.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
I mean, what are you gonna do?
On one of my accounts, it is useless to me for the trading post because it has all those blasted tonics in there that you wanted me to buy out for you. There's over 1.5 million tonics stuck on the trading post on that account.
For what? What tonic?
The Halloween tonics. The ones that
right.
Oh and yeah. Like, they might add a new recipe for these next Halloween. So like, buy them out for me, please.
To be fair, they did add like a recipe. It just wasn't much more than that.
So big that the price moved, though.
So there you have it, guys. The way Dan interacts with us is, I'm not home, please buy stuff for me, and then he just forgets about it. And both Enko and I end up stuck with it.
All like the nougats and the chattering skulls and those things that you had me buy, I finally just cleared out that TP on it and just vendored all of them because I wanted that one back.
Remember when I wanted to go in like 15k on flawless snowflakes when they were 10? What was it? 10? Or no, it was 1 silver each. Yeah. And what are they up to now? Like 10?
I mean, sometimes you have the good ideas, but I mean, I bought some though for myself. Oh man, like, I mean, in the end, everything worked out. We did buy a bunch of stuff.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, I buy a lot of stupid shit, but the thing is, when you do get a proper hit, you make like
so much
10,000% profit on like whatever you're buying.
Yeah,
and it makes up for a lot of your stupid investments.
I'd rather just go for a 15 to 20% profit guaranteed constantly all the time instead of just waiting for the big hit to come.
That takes way more work though.
Yeah,
way more work.
Fun.
Like that's the thing about you, Dan. You do the speculation while we do the actual investments.
Like
I used
investing
to do
into stuff you're sure about. That's proper
Yeah.
investing, and then the rest is just the speculation. But when you're spot on, it's actually impressive.
Like the things that you want to do and like are actually reliable, like a reliable way to consistently make money is to just get on whenever there's a new patch and rush to complete that content as fast as possible.
Yeah,
Like
man.
the latest one where I was successful with that was when they did the Ascended cooking patch, where I had
Yeah.
speculated on a ton of different mats. I probably lost a little bit of money overall for all the stuff that I just broadly invested into, but because like I rushed through it and completed it and discovered the recipes for Ascended food, I was able to make like a ton of that. Like not make it back. I was able to make profit off of buying up the things that were actually used in the new recipes.
But like that's one thing I can't do at all anymore. Because ever since I became an Ironet partner, I actually can't do the rushing at the start of a patch. That would be very wrong of me to do it.
So I do want to address a comment that just got made in Twitch chat from Checkmate. So he says that all this talks is so far away for a new player. So earlier I mentioned that I had been doing the same thing to make gold every day for 5 years, or the same TP stuff. This only took 30 minutes of work a day. And you really only get started on it, you only need 50 gold, and it actually still works. And that is, I don't really do this anymore because I'm using other things that are more profitable, so I don't really have a problem talking about this. Salvageable materials. So one of the big things about how when I deal with high velocity, high supply items for low cost, the big thing you got to do is make spreadsheets. You need to make spreadsheets so you could track what the profit margins are on any given item. A lot of the items so when people are talking about flipping, people are talking about you buy an item, you put a buy order in for an item, you get that item, and then you list it, and the return is that item that you listed for minus 15% is higher than what you paid for. That's just what flipping is. Okay. Everything I've done is I put buyers for items, I get it, I process that item in some way, turn it into something else, and then I list that stuff. And you calculate the profits based on that. So
yeah.
Most of the reason why I find that enjoyable is because I like using Excel. I like making spreadsheets. I don't know why. I just like it. For the salvageables, once you figure out the drop rates for all those items, then you know which ones to buy at what prices and how much profit you'll get on them. So this crap. Where is that spreadsheet even now?
Losing all the spreadsheets. Actually, I'm just gonna make a small break while you look for the spreadsheet.
Okay.
If somebody tries to give you trading post advice but doesn't back it up with numbers and a spreadsheet, usually they're saying bullshit. Because every single one of us at some point made a spreadsheet to track something, be it the price of an item we followed, the crafting costs versus the returns on a legendary or another specific item, or as Enko said, tracking drop rates, gathering your own data, and then using that to make some gold. So if somebody tries to tell you, do something, and doesn't say, I tested it, and I know for a fact that it works, then they're just breathing out of their ass, to be fair.
I feel like you're targeting a certain YouTuber.
Far from me to target my fellow market people. Come on. I'm a distinguished member of this community. Kappa.
Alright, so
there you go on
the spreadsheet. So the salvageables, like, I do think you need about 50 gold to start on doing this. When I was doing this heavily, I was putting buyers for 1,000 of each one that was profitable. Now, it's like with how slow some of these sell now because it's mainly NAD drops now. Like, you still get them in, but now if I do it, I usually put 2 stacks at a time. Yeah, so you only need about 50 gold to start on doing this. I had set myself a minimum of 15% profit margin on these, but when I first made the spreadsheet, it was, you're going to lose money in the beginning when you're trying to make spreadsheets, but I bought a bunch of these, and then every single time I salvaged one, I tracked the drops. So eventually, over time, I got the actual drop rates for them, and then it gave me a good calculation based on the profit percent. percentages on these. But with these items, like the highest profit percentage on this, well, I actually might go buy some of these actually. But right now, the highest profit percentage on this is 127.9%. And then, like on average, these are all about 40 to 50% profit items. And you can do all of these things with very little gold. I did this starting from like 500 gold all the way up to, I think after POF came out. I was doing this then, and when POF came out, I had 96,000 gold in my wallet, and I had bought every single skin in the game you could get with gold. So I had just done this with salvageables for years, and just kept going with it. So for instance, like right now, if you look at torn hides right now, so their buy orders are 215, and if you salvage that with the copper fed, like the items, the average profit you get out of that with current prices on the materials is 89 copper. So it's a 41.5% profit on this. And that's also including, you got to look at the leather that comes out. Will it sell better unrefined or refined? So I would put buy orders in for torn hides. They'd come in, you salvage them. Then you look at the leather that comes out of it. You check the refined price versus unrefined price. Decide which one's higher. Refine it if you need to, and then you list it and just wait for it to sell. If it sells it at the current prices, it's 41.5% profit. So that's just one of them. Okay, there are a whole bunch of salvageables for metal, leather, cloths, and then you have the unstables. So this is 46 items that I was just tracking. Basically what I did for 5 years. And a lot of it is just research. A lot of it is just collecting the data for it. As I said in the beginning, you might lose some money, but generally speaking, these items were almost all profitable when I was doing them. Nowadays, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 6 of them that are not profitable right now, out of the 46. And then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9 of them that are under my 15% profit. So they're profitable, but under 15%. The rest of them, they're very profitable. And you don't need a lot of gold to start on this. So, I mean, if you have less than 50 gold, actually, let's go with the 100 gold. If you have less than 100 gold, go farm. Go farm like silver waste for a little bit. Go do some of the trains you see people do. You know, get up to 100 gold. If you do silver waste at like 20 gold an hour, that's 5 hours worth of work. After that, you start doing the TP stuff. You know, in the beginning, like most of your time would be spent just setting the spreadsheets. And after that, it's like 20 minutes, 30 minutes of work. So like, there's no other real, like. So you talk about people, because I see this on Reddit, I see this on some of the other Discords, they're talking about the gold per hour for farms, and you know, Twitch chat, tell me how much do you guys think is a good gold per hour for a farm? For any of the farms out there, because the ones I see somewhere out there are usually like 20 gold to like 40 gold an hour. That's usually the prices you get for farms. I think the higher people go is like 50 gold when they spam a specific series of events. So let's even go the high thing of 50 gold an hour. So when I was doing this, like when this market used to move a lot faster, now it's slowed down a little bit. It still works, but it's a little slower. Like I would put in a buy order when I woke up before I went to work. I come back home, I process that order, put a new set of buy orders in, sell all those things, and then 6 hours later I do that again, and I would do it again before I went to sleep. So it was either minimum 2 times a day to up to 4 times a day, where my orders were filling. Okay, and each of those times took me about 15 minutes of work. Sometimes the refining would take a much longer time, but you could do that while you're AFK. So it really was only about an hour of work a day. And when this was a lot heavier, I was getting 400, 500 gold, like a day doing this. Like nowadays, if I was doing this, it's about 25 minutes of work because like there's a lot less refining time, and it's still about 150, 200 gold profit a day if I want to do this. So, but a lot of this is just collecting a lot of data to get accurate results. Like, do you need a big sample size as I did? Because the sample size that I have on these things, some of these items, I've got like a couple 100,000 of these salvaged. After you track about 30 to 40,000 of them, the drop rates really don't change after that point. Like, you have a pretty good sample size. After that, it's just for me to get more and more accurate data. But a lot of the stuff when you're processing stuff is just collecting the data, recording it, make sure you have a clean data set, and going with that. So like one of the things I track right now are unedited gears. I mean, some of that you just have to know how to track that stuff. Like if you're going to get in the trading post and you're not going to be flipping, well actually if you're flipping, I think you should learn how to use spreadsheets. But if you're going to get in the trade post and processing items, you need to track your data. So same thing, like you see people like Suitgun on Reddit where he's posting like, oh, this like I opened 100,000 trick or treat bags. Like that's all data that should be tracked, because then it'll help you make decisions for later on if you should keep opening them or not.
But one little footnote though: do not trust the wiki data or other people's for that matter. Like it's going to be wrong more often than not. Like you need to collect the data yourself.
Always gather,
because you're the only one that you can trust.
Okay, so the wiki data. I don't think it's that you can't trust it. It's just that you have to take it with a grain of salt. You do have to understand that there's a chance that the data's been corrupted because other people might not have been as consistent with how they track things. The certain YouTuber that I felt that Sam was targeting earlier is notorious for doing this in his videos. Like he does not know how to track his drop rates. But so the wiki data, because it comes from multiple sources, you don't know how they're doing. You do have to take it with a grain of salt. I think if you're starting out, you can use that stuff as a starting point, but you should verify it. And if the data is too far off, then just make your own data set or make a comment that it's broken. So like Silver is the one that had a lot of the spirit shard data on efficiency for the calculators. So there was that data. I checked it all myself. I verified it myself. I did a few thousand just to see how the rates matched up. And once I verified that, hey, Silver's data was good data, then I trusted Silver's data from that point on. Unless it was something like, but every single thing, one of those things, I checked myself first. And then after that, I stopped maintaining my spreadsheet for those. But a lot of the items that I do, no one really publishes the data on this stuff. Like, how many people actually know what the drop rate is for mithril ore from an unstable metal chunk? Like, I've never seen anybody post data for that. I track that stuff because it means profit. So,
yeah.
But again, like,
salvaging, processing, opening bags. Like there's always some sort of margin there. Like more often than not, it is going to be profitable. You just got to figure out like how profitable it actually is.
So a lot of it
like,
is
this kind of
like,
stuff.
You just got to learn the data, and you when I say getting good spreadsheets, like the spreadsheets I set now are way easier to continue filling out compared to the ones I did before. Like I think that heavy multi-bag spreadsheet, I think the way I was adding inputs to it, to like the older data, I actually had a calculator for each item, like a calculator window for each item on my desktop, and as I added it, I would add it each one to replace the number instead of just having a running list and then summing the column. So there are some things I've learned since then to like make it faster and make it more efficient for me to do. But most of this stuff, it's most of that I do that I feel like anybody with 50 gold can do, what you could get in a day of playing. Anybody can do it. It's just a matter of how are you tracking it to make sure what you're dealing with is profitable. The salvage achievement, I have completed that 127,444 times.
And your number is completely fucked, man. Like that's 50 million salvages, 50 million individual.
Yeah, I'm not
salvages.
even number one.
I think.
So
no, wait,
there's
25 million.
Weren't they cheating by like salvaging, like resonating and recrafting them though? Like the number one.
You could do it that way if your only goal is for the leaderboard. That's not profitable to do that now. It was at the time because it was kind of broken. But that person, I think, did it with the Amber, because at one point Amber was profitable salvage.
Yeah, I mean that was a pretty good time. That was a time at which I was also doing it, but like I got bored rather fast. Let me see what my number is in the salvages.
Yeah, so checkmate. The hard data analysis and understanding the in-game market. So the stuff that you hear Dan talking about, he does a lot of speculation stuff, where he gambles on an item hitting big and then sells those for a higher price. You look at the stuff that like Guild MM does, where he's got a big supply chain from a bunch of people, so that they could basically procure legendaries at a lower price and sell the legendaries. You've got guys like Xanar who used to flip a lot. So flipping to me was always fairly basic because it actually didn't require a lot of thought, because you're just buying something and then selling it right away. It really was just like, is the buy order low enough to sell for the listed price? I haven't seen a lot of people do what I do, at least track it, or at least not publicly. A lot of people don't probably publish their data. But the stuff that I do, again, you kind of need to have a love for Excel to really want to do it this way, because I mean, if I look at like one of my spreadsheets right now is, oh, I don't know, that's a broken one. That one crashes my computer when I run it. One of my biggest spreadsheets right now is 13.5 megs. No, one of those spreadsheets I had a formula that went into like a recursive loop, and the Excel spreadsheet went up to like 150, like it went over a gig, and then it crashed my computer. So I can't even delete the file because it crashes my computer when I try to do it, when I touch it.
Jesus.
So, but yeah, like one of my biggest spreadsheets now is like 13.5 megs. Most of my spreadsheets are around a meg each. But I've got 90 something spreadsheets that I have in total for the economy, for like Guild Wars 2 economy stuff. I'm only using like 5 of them right now because I consolidated a lot of them. But yeah, so some of the stuff I do, you need to, like, learning Excel is a pretty big deal if you want to be consistent about this. I started using Excel for games back with Diablo 2, but back then that was mainly just to track inventory, like where all my items were. Same thing with City of Heroes. Guild Wars 1, it was more of an inventory tracker too. But then with Guild Wars 2, we had the API connection, so you could actually use some of the API sites to like pull down CSVs of everything on the trading post, and you can start doing calculations with like the actual live data. So Silver's site is very good for doing that right now. It's one of the more reliable sites to do it for. Silver's also open to making it a lot of tools if you request a tool. He's usually pretty good about implementing those on the website.
That's an occasion to plug some Silver stuff. So yeah, it was posted in the chat, thatwars2.ie. You were saying earlier that Silver is one of these persons you believe the data of because he actually has a very good data set. But I would also add that a lot of the work he has done on his own API is the reason why our own spreadsheets work so well nowadays. And for the people who are interested into making their own spreadsheets, I did a demonstration stream yesterday that you can still find in the VOD, and that will also be available on YouTube. And another functionality from Silver's API, website that is very interesting is the tracker. Like, you can do something and have it track the data for you without needing to input it in Excel. And that's a huge load taken off your shoulders if you're trying to get opening rates or whichever rates you're working on currently.
It's one of the things that people seem to also neglect a lot is, like, people really underestimate how strong having a spreadsheet was. So I'm one of the newer people to this whole group. And to be honest, looking at a lot of these other Barons, Sam, Dan, Enko, even Xana, especially Xana because he helped me at the beginning, teach me like how to actually use some of this spreadsheet stuff. And although I'm like a beginner, I'm fairly new to a lot of those, I still learned a lot. Like, I'm definitely not at the level these other Barons are, but with the Liquid Gold there, some knowledge, like, I've definitely learned a few things. And again, spreadsheets, one of your best friends in this kind of thing. If you just take the time, again, as Enko said, learn Excel, really, really good stuff to help you keep items, track items in game.
Yeah. Souls hit it big. Basically, Souls hit it big by aggressively spamming Guild Wars 2 Exchange, buying gifts of mastery from anyone and everyone.
I mean, I remember when I wanted to buy a Czech exec, I sold my my confetti to Souls at the time. That was, I think, the first contact you and I had. Like, just you buying my... yeah, I mean, it was interesting. Like, okay, now I can say it because we've known each other for quite some time, but I judged you over that Pepe avatar you were using at the time. I was no way he's actually using a Pepe avatar.
I still remember back when Guild MM was first like posting on Exchange, I was going to immediately ban him for that name because it really sounded like he was a scammer that was like trying to be a middleman on the subreddit. It's like, oh no, this is not going to happen. But I don't know how. Like, I don't know what convinced me to not ban him.
I think we actually someone knew who he was and actually stepped in and said, no, don't do that. But yeah, these were the good memories of the start.
Oh, I guess I should also say this too. For those of you guys who are starting on this stuff, the first thing you need to learn how to do is not spend your gold.
Yup. That is
like
true.
you gotta control your spending. Like that's true in real life too. Because most people are like, if you stop spending your gold and you just play the game, you'll actually kind of be surprised how quickly it adds up. But control your spending, like just buy stuff that you actually need, and then set a goal for yourself. Like I said, like one of my goals earlier on was to get a full wardrobe. Like I don't think I ever had more than 5,000 gold in any given time because of that, because that's how much some of the skins cost at that time. And then as soon as I finished that, I had nothing to spend my gold on, but I kept doing all the gold making stuff, and then my gold got too high. But yeah, like set a goal for yourself, control your spending, and then whatever way you are making gold, make sure you're having fun doing it. Because if you're not going to enjoy it, you're probably not going to stick with it. So, if you want to make gold selling Gifts of Mastery to Souls or to Guild MM and stuff like that, well, I hope you enjoy world completions in Corteria, and I hope you enjoy doing World vs. World.
Oh god.
Oh man, yeah.
So, it's like for myself, it's like I actually do like doing world completions, but when I do world completions, it wasn't for speed, because like I would stop to do every single event I saw. I would gather from every node I saw. I would go like check all the lore in the area, and every single time I finished, when I learned something new in the game, like how one of the hero points if you're a human, makes you a cannibal. Stuff like that. There's little interesting things that the ANET devs put in this game that most people just kind of ignore, which is kind of a pity, because there are a lot of things that if you just take the time to explore, you'll see that stuff. But like I also don't treat Gifts of Mastery as like a primary source of income though. So I'm like I wouldn't be doing that to make gold. I'd be doing that just because I enjoy mapping. So
I've done exactly one world completion and have no desire to ever go back and do any more.
I did 6 of them.
It's so
for my own
boring.
legendaries.
I've done 10 now, and those are all pre-hot. And I'm planning on eventually on finishing another 53 for the rest of the playable characters on my account.
Oh,
Like,
just
I'm
to
not
have the
gonna do that
star on
on my-
everybody. Man,
I'm not going to
you're
do that
a
on
madman.
like those other 7 that are just kind of throwaway characters. But I mean, if you want to do stuff like that, just make sure you enjoy it. Like if you don't like making spreadsheets, don't try to get in the TP where you need to use spreadsheets, because you're just going to hate yourself for it. Like you got to pick something that you actually enjoy doing. Like if you love doing raids, but you want to make gold too, like try getting in one of the groups that does raid cells. Like if you're a good player, like you'll usually fit into those. Like if you just like doing open world stuff, like learn how to take the activities you enjoy and monetize them, and try to figure out a way to make gold from them.
And then you
Unless
can
it's
apply for a job at
gambling.
RNN. Sorry.
Well, yeah, and then you got to make sure whatever you enjoy, you could actually make gold. Like if you like gambling, just be aware that almost all the items or all the things in this game that you could gamble for are generally a loss.
That is true. But it is fun though. I mean, like, I always feel weird whenever I am discussing stuff with the other TP Barons, because I'm a TP Baron in brain only. I know how to make the gold. I'm usually lazy to make it, but whenever I want it, I just make it. It's just that I enjoy wasting it more than I enjoy making it. So whenever I reach a point where I'm like, okay, I have that much disposable income, I'm just gonna waste it. Be it buying items I won't need, be it gambling, be it whatever. I'm just like, if I ever get beyond 20k cash and I already have 100k in investments, I'm just like, okay, we gamble, we're good, we go, waste it, goodbye, no money anymore.
Yeah, for me it's just buying random crap. Like buying up all kinds of random junk.
You're doing it better than I am.
How do you monetize staying AFK in LA? You don't see this one as often, but you do see some people that still spam like, oh, I'm so close to my legendary, I just need 24 more powerful bloods and like 15 more vicious claws. You still see those occasionally, not as often. But yeah, I mean, if you pop an Apple tag and just say like, hey, I need a little bit of help, please tip, you'll probably get some people that are willing to help you. I mean, I consider that a little bit of a scammy thing, but like you see all those posts on Reddit that goes like, "Oh, I'm a new player," and people were so nice. And like, I ran some people, and I said I was new, and they just sent me 20 gold. I mean, I'm honestly surprised that nobody abuses that.
Yeah, just run a music macro and get tipped, man. Just run a music macro.
Because like, you could just make a post in LA that just says, "Hey, I'm new to the game. Can anybody help me?" And judging by how often you see those posts on Reddit, I wouldn't be surprised if that you could probably abuse that. You could abuse other people being helpful. I wouldn't suggest that because I think that's a scummy thing to do. I'm just honestly surprised that nobody's done that. Actually,
And
maybe
guys,
some people do that. They just don't say anything.
Yeah, if you want to make a new
Sure,
account
a
and
lot
have
of
very
people
low
do it,
AP
don't say
and
anything.
be able to ask for that stuff, you can buy Guild Wars 2 with the links in the description of the stream and support me. Yes.
If you want to make an aggressive panhandling account, buy it with Sam's link and make your character name like Scam Ajesté, and then beg in chat for gold.
That's not possible anymore because I have it. I have all the variations
Oh
of Sam Ajesté and Scam Ajesté. Dude, I don't have these 20 accounts for laughs. I made all the name variations I could, and I got them for myself.
Well, I mean, like, let's say you don't want to do TP stuff. You don't like farming. You don't like selling raids. You don't like doing other things. You don't like doing trains. You don't like doing stuff that make gold in the game. What if I told you you can make a lot of gold just by logging in and logging out of the game and doing nothing else but that? You can do that.
Yeah,
you just gotta have a lot
buy like 20 alts.
I mean, that's literally the only thing I still do is logging onto my accounts every morning as I make coffee.
Nowadays, it's kind of hard to find cheap accounts, but I mean, there was
that Alienware one like a couple months ago.
Yeah, just run
I'm talking about if you just want to go get them right now without waiting for promotion. So, Guild Wars 2 accounts, you used to be able to buy them for like $5. Like, you could get like just the full game for $5 at one point. That's where I got my 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th, 4 of my accounts from, because it was $5.
There's like a Walmart thing for hot.
Yeah. You saved me with that Walmart sale, man. You really
it was great.
And then, some people are mentioning Rumpo, who he has those 40 accounts, which he also multi accounts on them and farms on all of them at the same time.
Yeah,
so
he's crazy.
Like,
yeah.
You do that. That's one of the few ways that you can actually make a really, really gold per hour by farming.
Yeah.
You just gotta have 40 accounts all farming.
Are you farming though at that point? It sounds like you're leeching, really, for the most part.
Well, so the AFK, the quote-unquote semi-AFK farming, like a Necros, like, that's allowed by ANET as long as you're at your computer. So you could have 40 accounts sitting on a spot just like with like minions farming for you, as long as you can respond to if you get whispered by ANET devs. Apparently they're okay with that. I mean, you could also try to cram in as many accounts as you can into a Garant instance, for instance. Like, have 10 accounts and then just tag something and just like Garant finishes quite like it's very rare when it fails nowadays. And you can just have 10 accounts that loot that chest and maybe you'll get a chalk egg sack on one of them. Like, you could do stuff like that with your multiple accounts.
Think you will. Like, even if you had 10 accounts and you did it for a decade, you're still not likely to actually get one. The drop rate is so absurdly low.
If you were doing that every day with 10 accounts, you have 10 chances to get it instead of 1 chance.
No, but it's still like 0.00002. Like something absolutely disgustingly low.
You're still rolling 10 times. You're still rolling 10 times instead of once.
Yeah, but like Enko, at this point, it is more worth to actually just go into a regular farming map with your 10 accounts.
I want to say, like, just look at Honeymoon. Honeymoon has like 20-something alt accounts at like TD and freaking Pinata, and they have like a bunch of infusions on them.
Jeez, that's pretty good.
If anyone knows,
the question is, do you think they've actually got those, or they just bought them and they want to?
They most likely bought them, but I mean,
I feel like
those do drop. Those do drop. It's just that if you only because like me, I only do it on 1 account. I will roll for it once. If you do it with 10 accounts, you roll for it 10 times. So yes, the drop rate's still probably low, and you still might not get one, but you get 10 chances to do it instead of 1. So some people might think that's worth doing.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, from my point of view, I think it'd be better if I just, go make a minimum of 500 gold a day, and then I can eventually just buy one if I wanted it. I think that's more consistent.
Just to get back at something that was said in chat by Checkmate, the problem he currently has with the game is he would like to make a legendary and maybe don't sell it, and that's lost value.
Mic's cutting in and out.
Yeah, my mic's cutting in and out because I'm not talking towards where the microphone is. That's the problem.
Maybe you should
I'm looking at the chat on like another screen, but I'm just gonna do better like this. So yeah, I wanted to say to Checkmate that if you don't sell an item that has value, you don't necessarily lose value. If it's an item you want to have for yourself, you should actually have it for yourself. You should keep it, because that's in the end what you're going to work for and what's going to make it interesting and a pleasure for you to log onto your account. If you just log onto your account to sell stuff, you're gonna get bored after some time. Every single one of us here has the stuff that they wanted and then went on to selling what they didn't need or didn't want. I mean, Enko has almost a full wardrobe now, or even a full wardrobe, I think.
No, everything you could buy with gold I have.
Yeah, okay. Like, you're missing the stuff that nobody can get, basically.
No, I'm missing the stuff like World vs. World skins or PvP skins or things that you have to get from drops like the Tequaddle skins and stuff like that.
Oh god.
Or like achievement awards that I haven't done yet. Yeah. If you could buy it with gold, I pretty sure.
There you go. So like you should, as a person, go for what you want. Because if you don't go for it, then at some point you won't want to play the game anymore. So checkmate, just treat yourself. Keep that legendary.
Yeah. One of the great things too about working towards like a chalk infusion is if at any point you decide you don't want it anymore, you can just resell it. It's not bound to your account.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you can change it into anything else that you want. Where if you get a legendary and then decide that it just wasn't as hot as you thought it would be, you're stuck with it. Like that's it.
Yep, that's the problem around it. Which is also why I like infusions. I should actually sell my Check X deck because like I don't enjoy it that much anymore. I'm more into the golden Luke. I should just exchange it for a few Queen Bees. And
I sold off. I really just sold off most of my infusions to buy stupid shit. But here's hoping that I'll actually get. Oh, it totally was. Okay, like I love buying stupid shit. What would make me really happy though is if one of my Connor buy orders would fill. But that doesn't seem like it's happening anytime soon.
Yep. Oh well. I mean, I feel like now would be a good time to move on to a more specific subject, because right now we're like 8 days away from Winter's Day. Well, 9 days, technically, because it's going to be supposedly on the 17th of December. That is the next Tuesday, not the one in 2 days, but the one the week after. So, does any one of you want to talk about Winter's Day? Because last Winter's Day, we were quite active. All four of us on the Discord.
Oh, yeah.
Bouncing ideas.
Those concentration sigils, man. That was a big hit.
I mean, yeah, like the concentration sigils and also the crafting of the runes and sigils used in Winter's Presence.
Oh yeah, right. I think that was right after the rune patch.
Exactly, that was when we started tracking so hard. Like we all made spreadsheets to track the salvage rates, see which symbols and charms we could get, how many we could get, and what was profitable to buy on a trading post and salvage as runes to get symbols and charms to just craft again and sell on the trading post.
Speaking of concentration sigils, why are they so high right now?
That's actually a very good question. I think that
like they're 11 gold right now. The buyers are at 7 gold. When Winter's Day is about to hit, and we're going to get a huge supply of these.
Maybe some people are gambling on the fact they don't come back.
No. Maybe all the people that are doing strikes feel like they actually need to properly gear up their character for them. So they're buying up the conch sigils.
10% boon duration. It's not like they used to be where 33% on weapon assault, whereas it actually was not balanced. Like it's just 10% now for like you could get that 10% like for strikes. Most people at strikes don't really care about their damage. So if you're a support class, you could usually just get that 10% boon duration from elsewhere.
Yeah, indeed.
I don't know. I guess it's just got to be low supply at this point because they are super expensive to craft.
Well, I haven't really checked on the price on those since I cleared out the stack ad from last year. But yeah, I'm surprised they're at 11 gold right now. So
I sold off all my stacks too.
Xander, even the buy orders are high right now. The buy orders are at 7 gold. That's higher than what I think they should be at.
Yeah, I mean that's higher than what I sold mine at. Like I
sold mine at like 6.
I think I had 8 stacks or so because I didn't go that deep into them because it was so slow to just extract all of them and then forge the weapons, which I'm gonna do this year again, of course. But
I only had a stack and a half of them because I didn't buy that many.
Like it just took so long. Like I mean, I had 8 stacks from pure extraction, and I sold them at like 8 gold or so on average. So I made a huge lot of money because I bought the weapons at 2.5 gold. All
right.
Sold the sigils at 8 gold and had a bunch of precursors in the meantime. But still, it took so long. Like.
All right. So I guess let's get back to the topic. Sam, what are your predictions for Winter's Day?
I mean, I actually made that the stream of yesterday. I just chatted with the chat, picked up a few items and put them in there. Personally, I think that this year around, the crafting of the it's the Sigil of Mischief and the Rune of Snowfall. Yeah, the Sigil of Mischief is the one that uses the symbol of enhancement. And while last year we had the patch that created these items that was very close to Winter's Day, so the price hiked up to I think 2 gold 30 on the symbols. This year around, they're cheap as all fuck. They're at 15 silver. Or 13 silver, something like this. So I would actually think that somewhere in the next week or right as the patch hits, if they're still being used, they're going to hike up in price really fast. So that's an item I've actually already stocked up on, just in case. Worst case, I'm just going to craft runes of force, shit like this, and make money anyways. But I'm expecting that this is going to work out. So that was one of the first thing, and then the second one is obviously the runes. I mean, like going for the Sigil of Concentration, from extracting from the weapons and then forging these weapons to make profit. Every year I say it: get yourself an endless extractor because it's actually a good investment on any account. I mean, on your main account, like, just not any account.
Right when it came out too, you could get some huge margins on stuff.
Man, I mean,
because you didn't have to burn Blackline salvage kits to extract.
Yeah, I mean, like, I bought it for 4k when it released, and I made that gold back in, like, what, 4 days, I think? Shit like this. Salvage is, like, endless upgrade extractor is amazing. Just go for it. And,
that's kind of a pay-to-win item, honestly.
Yeah, it is.
If I bought an extractor right now, what's the price for those right now?
Enko realizing he's needing one.
No, I already have one on my main. I've been considering getting one on my second account too.
Oh my god, now on the second account it's not that worth.
So it's 2,200 gold right now. I paid 4,500 gold for mine, like when it came out, and I made all the gold back. Like,
it was instant to make the gold back.
I don't remember how long, exactly. But if I bought one right now for instant bought it for 2,200 gold, with what I'm doing right now, I would make that gold back by tomorrow. So
just do it, man. Just do it. You're gonna make somebody happy.
I already have one. I don't need to buy another one.
But yeah, so these are my first 2 picks for Winter's Day, and then there are some other stuff that are interesting. So quite obviously, you could buy some Winter's Day presents during the event to keep them for later on. But what I think is going to be more interesting is what drops from the Winter's Day presents. There is going to be some value in there. And more specifically, what people can do with their karma or at the vendors during the event. Usually cloth drops by a huge margin. So you have cotton and linen that are overly supplied during that event. They're a very good thing to buy as it goes on and sell later on. When I say a very good thing is that the price actually rectifies itself very fast. So you're not going to make a huge margin, but you're going to make your gold back fast. And usually that's something that people want when they make an investment and are not used to being patient. They want to see profits within the first 3 months, and materials like that are what's going to get you that profit within the first 3 months. And then, what else would I think about when it comes to Winter's Day? Like, usually I open the presents that I drop because you can get charged quartz crystal from them, and I'm always in need of these, and I fucking hate going into a place of power to infuse mine. I'd rather much get them from presents or trick-or-treat bags, but that's just me.
Yeah, in your home instance, right?
Yeah, you can do it in your home instance, but as if I would actually bother going into my home instance. Like, I don't.
Well, that's another thing. If you don't have a lot of gold, just go to home instance. It's like,
yeah, I mean, you can salvage per run. Exactly. But yeah, so these are all the points that I am looking at prior to Winter's Day and during Winter's Day.
All right. So Dan, how about you?
I'm not really sure. It really just depends on if they're planning on adding new content or not. Because I don't think concentration sigils will dip nearly as hard this year as they did, or like they may dip. Well, these are kind of two conflicting opinions, but it's also entirely possible that they just tank in price because there's just not nearly enough demand to support the price as high as it is. Besides that, I mean, obviously there will be a little bit of an increase in price in like Snowfall Rune, Mischief, and then the charms that it takes to make them. But I don't see any huge swings unless we get new content.
The thing with Quartz Crystal is actually, like, at least looking at 2018, looking at last year's rollout, we can see that it actually, for Quartz Crystal specifically, it actually did drop down a little bit and eventually went back up. Will it happen again though? Who knows? Like, we're unsure. But personally, I think Quartz Crystal, like, will tank a little bit, and it might be somewhat okay to buy. But some really, really easy investments are something, as Sam has pretty much said, personally for me, some of the things I'll be doing. Winter's gifts. One of the honestly easiest things you can just chop is, like, if you have spare liquid to gold, just chuck a couple thousand into that, make a small little ROI. Nothing, very, very simple. Nothing to 5-head, as some would say. Other things for me probably as well. Since I actually engage in some of the activities, I'm probably personally going to do a lot of the jumping puzzle as well. I consider myself fairly good at it. Pretty easy gold from that.
I wonder if there's going to be like I wonder if there's going to be like a Winter's Day strike this year, since they're pushing strikes so hard.
Yeah, like I mean,
they'll probably bring Freezy back and hopefully just make it an actual strike. I do feel Freezy was a. I think Freezy was a prototype strike boss.
You see, I love like exclusive event rewards that are like pretty rare, and I really wish they would add more of them. Like, just make them untradeable and make them a low % chance to like encourage people to grind out that content.
Well, yeah, also another interesting investment, I just actually thought about it just now. I mean, thought again about it just now. Whenever you're investing for an event, there is always investing before the event, like for when it starts, and investing during the event for the month after it. Another investment you can make before the event is buying snow diamonds, because they're one of the currencies you use in Winter's Day. So they're cheap the rest of the year and actually get to a better price during the event. And the other way around is you can grab some of the items you'd buy with these and then sell these later in the year. So like the Snow Diamond gift box, you can also grab the Freezy bag. There are a few specific things to Winter's Day you don't get during the rest of the year that you can buy while it's up. So yeah, like I just wanted to add that point. Always think about what to get before and what you can get during it for later. I think that's important.
So,
oh yeah, you always have to be careful too, like with actually evaluating what you think the demand will be for that item, because it doesn't matter like whether or not it dips in Winter's Day. Like if it's got no liquidity, like you're gonna have a real hard time selling it.
I mean, one of the very good things though that we had last year, I'm not sure if it was last year or in 2017, but there was this one event that was Winter's Day in summer. I don't remember which year it was. But like they reintroduced a bunch of Winter's Day minis at that point, and I just grabbed a lot of them at that, sold them during the rest of the year, and that was good profit. And then I just reiterated the experience at Winter's Day, and it works as well. Like a lot of people forget to grab their minis, and you can sell them later.
Actually working better.
Oh, Souls is back. Yes, great.
Yeah.
Alright, so what am I expecting for Winter's Day for profit? So, people talked about Brilliance, or the Snowfall runes and the Mischief sigils. So, just like as everything else, I look at the how you produce those things. So, Brilliance charms and enhancements. The reason why I'm looking at those, if you actually look at the salvage rates for each of those things, and how common they are from just normal drops, some of those items don't line up with how often, like with the prices on there, mainly because of what they're used for. But like if you look at Brilliance versus actually let me just pull up that actually look at the numbers. Where is it? Here we go. If you actually look at the drop rates on those things, like Brilliance and enhancements actually have the highest drop rates. So Brilliance are the highest of the charms and enhanced the highest of the symbols. But the problem is that Brilliance is used to make Scholar Runes, which is why those are still up there in price. They're also used, but because of that, they're also used to make Snowfall Runes. And Snowfall Runes are going to spike in demand for those, so I'm expecting Brilliance to go up in price, which it kind of already has. I just checked, it's at a gold 70 right now. It was at a gold 30 like 2 months ago.
Also,
then,
a week ago it was 1.3 as well. It just started going up because people are realizing winter's coming.
It's been rising.
Yeah.
And then you got enhancement, which is the highest drop rate for the symbols. But for enhancement, like it's got some useful ones. Like the most useful ones out of it is malice and bursting. Because other ones out of there like bounty, agility, strength, not used a lot. But you got mischief, so those are going to spike up. They should spike up in price a bit as people are trying to make their Winter's Day shoulders. Surprisingly, like symbols of controls have the lowest drop rate of all of them. But because there's not a lot of useful sigils in those are kind of cheap. They make transference sigils, though, which is the only like good thing out of those. But I've actually always been surprised controls don't go up more in price. But yeah, brilliance and enhancements for this. I don't think Lucents will really change because there's so many in the game.
Lucents won't
but
move.
Ectos are also used for this, so Ectos might go up in price.
Definitely. Definitely a good pick.
Yeah. So,
Lucents have kind of always just been like a waste product. They only spiked up when they had that Mystic Forge event.
Yeah.
A couple people made a ton of money.
Oh man, that was good for me. I offloaded an entire guild bank of them because I keep mine. Like whenever I salvage stuff, I just keep them. So I have way too many stacks. Actually, in the chat it was said snowflakes. Snowflakes are also something that are interesting to go for during the event because people are going to use the snowflakes to build stuff in the guild hall. And you can also use the snowflakes in a few recipes that are, if not profitable, at least useful for your account. Like some food recipes use them, some crafting recipes use them. And you can also use them to craft some specific gear. So snowflakes are usually something that's also pretty decent. The problem is that storage is a pain in the ass. So you need an alt account dedicated to it or a guild bank. And I'm going to dedicate an alt account to it. Alt account 4, I'm looking at you. Yeah.
When you want to buy something like, I don't know, resonating slippers, or you can just buy
Eyes
a
of
casual
Cormier?
million of them for a buck.
Hey, I'm actually I'm running low on Eyes of Cormier right now.
What? Okay.
Didn't they add something
you throw 75 of them every day into your little teleporter, your Sunsphere teleporter thing. You get energy bags out of it.
Jeez.
So when you have that thing because you finished hot or you finished POF on 3 accounts, that's 225 a day that you go through. So I'm making my way through all the ones I had.
Oh my god, you're a crazy man, Enko. I don't even.
They add something.
I wouldn't want to take the time to. You see, I wouldn't want to take the time to get on my alts to mail them around in order to use them.
You just leave 10 stacks on each account and then refresh them whenever it runs out.
Oh my god.
I mean, if you're logging into them anyways to get the login rewards or to use the TPs on them.
I mean, Dan and I had the same reaction. That should say enough. We both went, "Oh my god!" I don't fathom doing this.
Using alts.
Yeah, I mean, I just use alts as like storage space. Like they have numbers, and that's very good for spreadsheets. All of my accounts have a number. Yeah, they're called like alt account 1, 2, 3, 4, and I know which one that is. I put like 500 gold on each of them. And whenever there is a cheap item I want to buy a huge quantity, I spend the 500 gold, buy everything I want, and leave it on the TP. And
so here is the greatest use for alt accounts. Like this is why I'm really considering buying some more. There's a 500 gold weekly cap on how much gold you can take in from the guild bank or from your mail.
Mm-hmm.
Every additional account you have, you could take an additional 500 gold.
Are you actually going to like middleman transactions with gold?
Because I have 8 accounts, I can accept 4,000 gold via mail. So when I'm selling a lot of stuff, I'll just tell them to mail 500 gold here, mail 100 gold there, and I'll just keep going. And then I'll keep track of which account's gold cap for each week.
You see, it sounds like you're just laundering gold, though, if you tell people to do that.
But, I mean, you do that, but then it's like, so how do you transfer that gold back to your main? Well, you buy items on your alt account that you're going to buy in your main anyways, and you just move them over.
Yeah, I mean, we all do that, I think. That's, like, the good way of doing it.
So now the question is, can I get people to buy an Eternity with gold and not with frickin' Mystic Coins or Ectos, which I don't want?
Oh, take Ectos and coins.
Why would I want ectos when I have too many ectos right now anyway?
I know they're I know that I know 100% they're absolutely useless for you.
Well, let's see.
So, greatest use for an alt account right now. So you can actually sell higher price items and get your gold back in a real little amount of time. It's also really useful that if you need to mail a lot of items to something or to someone, you could put them in the guild bank to your alt accounts, and then you can mail it at twice the rate on 2 accounts. So you can mail 2 mails every minute instead of 1.
1 mail per minute. Actually, another thing. Speaking of alt accounts and getting them,
I don't know how many of you guys realize how long it takes if you're trying to mail 150 stacks or something to somebody. Like how long that actually takes if you're only using one account.
Yeah. There was someone, I think they bought a chalk egg sack using exclusively ectos. It took hours. It took hours for me to do that transaction.
Oh my god!
I had one that was relatively close to that.
Like he's ordered 150 stacks of ectos for me that I need to do after the stream or whenever he's on. Like with only one account, yeah, that takes a long time. There was that middleman. I remember there was a middleman that he bought a chalk. There was a chalk egg sack trade, and it was like mystic coins. Yeah, I think it was purely mystic coins.
Wasn't that Little Candy? Because I had something that was like that with Little Candy.
No, there's multiple of them that are like this. So it's like, I'll have them send it to me, and then when I mail them back, I'll stick half of them in the guild bank and then mail it from my other account just to speed it up a little bit.
Oh yeah. In case you're wondering why there was even a fee to begin with for middlemaning transactions, is because it was annoying, and people would do like stupid shit like pay for a chalk egg sack in exclusively ectos. So I wouldn't want to waste like hours doing that for free.
Yeah. So honestly, for those people that keep like, oh, we're making so much money middlemaning, we really don't. Because
it takes
the amount of gold that I can make in the time it takes to do a trade, like doing other things, is usually way more. The only thing that right now that is comparable for time is if someone is trading a chalk egg sack, they have the buyer ready to go, and there are no issues.
Yep.
And like that, I'll get like.
Oh, that's so nice.
That, and that's still like 45 minutes because of how much I have to mail. Now, when I have someone who's trading 50 gold worth of items, and he takes 4 hours to do it, because
man, you gotta love that 1 gold you get at the end of it.
He can't get a hold of the buyer or the other party.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the gold, so he needs to sell stuff on the TP.
Oh my god, that's the worst
for some reason
feeling.
They're sending me stacks of 1 instead of stacks of 250.
Oh my god, that happened?
They can't find their gold on which account they put it on.
Man, I'd die.
They can't find the item that they were trying to sell. There was a disagreement between, and I have to like moderate between the two parties for it. So yeah, the people that think that we make a lot of gold doing it, I'm actually losing gold by doing this. It's like we're doing this as a service, and like it does get annoying when people are like, "Oh, they're scamming people. They're making so much gold doing this." It's like we're really not.
Nah, it balances out as an average activity.
Part of the reason why that's particularly there is like that, particularly just the 2% fee, is so we don't get flooded, as Zenko has said in the past, that we don't get flooded in like needless services, especially if both trading parties aren't even able to come to an agreement of the trade. That's why almost all the time, at least when I get offered or PM'd to middleman something, I'll always say, have you and the trading party in a party before you invite the middleman, so that the trade goes smoothly. Be prepared to answer the question of state the terms and conditions of the trade, because that's what we will ask you. We'll ask you that, and then we'll have to see if both parties come to an agreement, so that the whole trade, especially since we're using a middleman here, is smooth. It takes like less than half an hour, depending on how many items you're mailing. Also account that when you're mailing something to people, it's about a 45-second cooldown, I believe, after the first 2 initial mails. 60 seconds to be safe. Yeah, 60 seconds to be safe.
Yeah. Actually, speaking about alt accounts, I wanted to add just a little thing about it, because I joked.
So yeah, that entire rant stemmed out of talking about alt account use. Yeah. So
just like there's one other thing. If you are lucky enough that there is an Arnanet event close to you, you should go there, because they usually have these little flyers on their desk, whatever they do an event, and at the back of these flyers you have a code for an outfit and a code for a core account. The thing is, the core account code they have is an account that has full access to the trading post and the mailing functions. So that's a full-fledged alt account for free. So whenever you go to an RNNet event, just get the whole stack and dump that in your bag. Easy. Codes, value, do it.
Keep in mind, selling those codes is breaking terms of service.
Speaking
about
this,
we always have to tell people about that constantly.
Don't do that on Exchange.
Do not resell those codes.
Yeah, do not do that on Exchange. Actually, don't buy these. It's bad. Actually,
the thing about the codes, like... Oh, sorry, Sam. The thing about the codes, what some people seem to misunderstand about the codes, because very similar to the Kung Fu Tea code regarding the Orin outfit code, you only get that. The code itself is not something you obtain in-game. Yes, the code itself is designed to be used in-game, but the source of where it comes from isn't in-game, which is why it breaks a TOS. So a lot of people, that's the part that a lot of people seem to miss, is the source of the code. You don't get that in-game, that's why it's breaking rules.
Alright, well, so the reasoning, ANET's reasoning behind that, why that's considered because it's not just TOS violation, they consider that as RMT. So their actual stance is that if it's an item external to Guild Wars 2, and you're transferring it you're exchanging it for something in the game, that falls under their RMT rule. So even if it's like Guild Wars 1 items or Guild Wars 2 items, those are external to Guild Wars 2. So that's any external items that falls under the RMT rules. Now, is anybody ever actually going to know, unless you actually say it in game, that because otherwise you're like, oh, I just gave someone a bunch of these items. Like, and I can't really know, but they just classify all that under RMT. So those codes are considered external items because they're not in-game items, even though it's a code for the game, as Soul said. So that goes for anything. It goes for Guild Wars 1 items to Guild Wars 2. It goes for Guild Wars 2 stuff that you're buying with actual money, which is blatantly RMT. This is why a certain YouTuber, like, there was a big issue with it. It's like, is what he was doing because they're RMT and stuff like that. But ANET's stance, well, their stated stance, they're not really applying this equally, is that if it is an item external to the game, no matter what it is, even if it's for the game, you cannot trade that for in-game items. That just falls in RMT for them. So, yeah.
Another thing with that is, like, trading items as well. Like, a lot of people still think that trading, like, Guild Wars 1 gold for Guild Wars 2 gold is perfectly fine. It's a different kind of RMT, because it's not exactly like any real money transaction is going through, but it still falls somewhat under RMT in that it's in the gray area. It's just not recommended to do, because if those traded items...
That's not in the gray area. I just talked about that. It's considered an external item in this game. It falls under their RMT rules. That's according to ANET.
Oh, okay, got it. Because I was just quoting off Dorsinger, who said in a Reddit post saying that it was not recommended to do, because if those items happen to fall into RMT hands, those items are then sold for RMT. It can eventually, as like in a spider web, lead back to the original source, which could then be punished.
I'm honestly surprised
that may be why they're doing it, but their stance is any external items to the game is considered.
Have any of you guys actually ever been banned for, like, middlemaning a transaction that contained RMT?
No,
I have.
Because I don't know if, like, what the deal is, because I feel like we should have been at some point. It's just not happened.
I've seen we had that recent person who got their chalk egg stack removed because it was in film.
Oh yeah.
I don't think that was middleman. Actually, wait, no,
Souls did
middleman. Yeah, Souls did that one.
Which one did I do?
You RMT'd a trade that the chalk egg sack that was purchased got removed from the person's account.
The Reddit one. Yes.
You middleman.
Yeah.
I middleman for that one.
You did not get nothing happened to you about it though.
Nothing happened to me. No, nothing.
Wait, guys. Wait a second. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Yeah, you're lagging a little bit.
Now we can.
I mean, stream just killed itself apparently. Just
oh no.
Wait a second. Okay, it's coming back on. Like, stream killed itself momentarily.
Alright, we need to find out from them what was the last thing that was said.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think we missed that entire last part about the RMT.
I think we missed the entire part about RMT, so let's start the RMT conversation all over again.
Let them tell us what they heard last first, so we know where to restart.
I mean, they're all spamming !arena. Actually, I need someone, because like I gave away some of the codes I have under my eyes. I need people to test them for me.
It's when you were talking about the arena codes from it. So that entire explanation of why that's considered RMT was not there.
Yeah, okay,
right,
so like,
go on. We'll respeed it. So, ANET stands on what RMT is any items, anything external to Guild Wars 2 being traded for stuff inside of Guild Wars 2. So that could be Guild Wars 1 items, it could be items from other games, it could be codes from events, it could be gold itself that you're exchanging for real money. If it's coming from external to the game, you cannot trade those for things internal to the game, even if it's a game code that's intended for use into the game, because that game code itself is considered an external item. So that is what their stance on RMT is. And their reasoning behind that is generally because it's too hard from the track, so they just kind of classify under all of that. So you should not be trading in-game items for out-of-the-game items, no matter what they are. That's basically what the RMT thing is. So Dan had asked the other moderators if any of us had ever been banned for middlemaning a trade involving RMT items. None of us have. Souls did recently middleman a chocolate egg sack trade that the buyer said that his chocolate egg sack was removed from his account because the seller was apparently involved in RMT, but Souls himself was not banned, which is
bizarre.
Everything.
It's just fortunate.
Now we're continuing with that.
Yeah, I'm honestly shocked.
I was fairly paranoid
because like there has to have been at least some amount of RMT items that have passed through our accounts just for doing middleman transactions.
Well, I tend to be fairly inquisitive for some of the bigger items about where they came from. So, I don't know.
I mean, but the thing is, like, even it can still just be like 2 steps down the chain, and you'd never know.
Yeah. Well, so the entire reason why I require people to state what the trade is in game, there's 2 reasons. One is so that we actually have an in-game chat logged if someone gets scammed. The other thing is to also show that, hey, I am just here to moderate the trade. I have nothing to do with these items. So if I ever do get banned, then I can point to that stuff. That's another reason why I actually do that.
One of the other mods,
I had someone complain that I was asking to do that.
One of the other mods that used to be on the mod team that some of you in chat may recognize, Wanzi, actually very strictly followed his own procedures where if he was going to middleman for just about anything, it would be done through his guild bank, which would require the trading parties to pretty much wait 72 hours.
Yeah.
Well, he did that because it showed up in the guild log.
Yeah, it also shows in the guild bank history.
But like that's part of the reason why we had him, or I had him on as like the first other moderator, is to have someone to disagree with me, because there was a lot of issues that we did not see eye to eye on, but there's definitely a net positive for the side.
I still don't see eye to eye on. Especially the purpose of the moderators on Exchange. I personally feel like the Exchange is over moderated by a certain somebody in the channel.
The rules are there. I mean, get rid of the post-spawn brawl, and I'll get rid of the post-spawn brawl. And I swear to God, you won't see me delete people's posts. But I mean, Enko is not wrong. I am probably like one of the few mods that are like. I mean, Enko, all of the mods actually fairly contribute to the mod mail when we get complaints, requests, or something. I think we all do a good job in responding to that. However, I am more of a tired ass regarding the post-spawn rule. Like, if I will literally scroll through using a little bot I have to check if people are post-bumping or something.
So here is my philosophy on moderating Guild Wars 2 Exchange and trades as like how we handle middlemen. I am not here to negotiate your trade for you. I am not here to moderate your trade for you. Exchange is a place for you to post your sales. If you want to post an item for a stupidly high price, I'll let you do it. You won't get any buyers. If you want to try to buy an item for a stupidly low price, I'm okay with that. You just won't get any sellers. If you want to waste your time doing that, my opinion is you should be able to post that stuff. Dan wanted to have this like rule that you have to post like reasonable pricing. I am personally okay with posting whatever price and just letting the market regulate itself.
Yeah, just like
the reasonable pricing rule was to just reasonable pricing rule. It was more to prevent people from posting transactions that it was just better to use the TP for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand that, but
I'm placing a buy order lower than what's on the TP. That's a waste of a post.
Like Souls, who would go into post and go just like, you shouldn't post it for that price. That's not a good trade. I mean,
self-righteous Souls has struck again.
I am not here to tell somebody if their price is bad or not. Like, I'm also not there just like, hey, you should sell your price, you should list your item for higher because it goes for this. Like that, I don't see that as our job. Our job here is to facilitate trades. Our job is not here to be like an auctioneer for it or to like. The only reason why I said that you should post an item, price is because I very much saw this thing being used as the same way as the LFG was used in Guild Wars 1 in Camden, where you would have a want to sell, here's my item, here's the price I'm looking for, and that was it. And then if you got whatever people want to do, that's up to them. As I said earlier, I lowballed and highballed people all the time in Camden, and I still got buyers. If someone wants to sell a chalk ASAP for 30k gold, and someone's willing to buy it for that price, more power to them. So it also comes to the point where, for middlemaning, it is not my place to tell somebody just like, the legendaries of this guy's are for chalk egg sack don't really add up to the price of that chalk egg sack. I'm just like, if you guys agree to that trade, you guys agree to that trade. I'm just here to middleman whatever you guys wanted. I am supposed to be an independent third party, a non-biased person in here that's just holding items for you guys. I should not be telling people, hey, that's a bad trade, or you could get a better price than that. That's not what I feel like that is not our purpose on GW2 Exchange.
Oh yeah,
we have a couple of other mods who feel like it's their place to do that.
That's always super annoying when I would see when I would see like a random community member complaining about like someone else's price in their post. It's like, what are you doing? You're not even interested in the item.
Yeah, we've definitely had at least, I can definitely name one person who's done that. Who's actually been
that guy in a while. I think he's gone.
No, he still posts. I seen him post recently for some Queen Bees and some other random infusions, but this person particularly was honestly really, really close to just being on the ban list just for straight up just being an ass. Like, for what he was basically somewhat doing what I was doing before I became a mod, pretty much just telling people, by the way.
Are you confirming that you were being an asshole? Is that what you're saying?
No.
He's confirming that's what it takes to be a mod. Just spam it off and be a
honestly, I was always a little iffy with Souls being a mod because he actually used GW2 Exchange.
Yeah, I mean, but like that's the thing though. If one of us uses the exchange, it's actually okay.
No, he has some bias about. Oh, I have a post that I'm buying Gifts of Masteries. Oh crap! This other guy made a post too. I'm going to delete his post. Like, I don't like the perception of bias.
Look, I've thought about that. When I've been trying to move like a confetti or a chalk egg sack, I've looked at the spam button. Like I see someone on the front page that's also selling it, and it takes a second for me to think, no, I shouldn't just spam this to sell mine.
So
as much as I want to.
So. Of everybody, actually, I think Wanze actually never sold anything on Exchange ever.
No.
I have sold one item on Exchange, and it was a Dusk to Souls. One item I sold on Exchange.
I mean, I sold something to Souls as well before he was a mod, so I guess we're all in here.
That's because he was everywhere, man.
Yeah, man.
Like,
I mean,
he posted so much.
Yeah.
So
I think Souls has the most activity out of us all.
Like, when I check the mod log, I look for the post that Souls has hidden just to make sure that he's not doing that.
Oh my god. I mean, that would be evil. Come on. Like, every single one of us actually has very good standards when it comes to doing stuff in the community, though. That's one of the things we're known for, and that's a pleasure to work with, to be fair. Like, I don't think any of us would scam anybody else because we all care about our image. And we know that we're trustworthy individuals. Which is why I trust Souls to do stuff. And I trust Enko and Dan as well. And I think we did a few trades. Like, I had trades where Dan middleman. I had trades where I asked Dan to send me stuff and such. And I would just, before going to bed at night, I would just send the stuff. And I would be like, okay, somewhere during the night, he's going to be up. He's going to do things. And I'll wake up with my item and it's going to be fine. So that's the level of trust. Just sending away 20k gold and being like, okay, I'm going to get something by tomorrow. Everything's good.
Oh, and for those of you wondering, how do you become an exchange mod? Because we actually get this question a lot. My standard for... well, no, we get in mod mail quite a bit. I don't know how many people mail you directly, but we
think
see
more
usually.
I think
I'm saying we get the question.
How do I become? I think I see more. How do we become a middleman rather than a mod in the exchange mail?
Well, to me, a middleman is a mod on exchange. Like those are equivalent to me. So if you want to become a middleman or a moderator on exchange, here's my standard: you have so much gold that you won't steal from somebody.
Yeah.
And you care more about your reputation than you would than 20k gold. So when I see someone asking to become a middleman or a moderator, like the guy has no trade history, he's only been playing the game for like a year, and like if he's got like 2k gold, if that, like that, it's like. Or actually, here's a big disqualifier for me when people ask if they could be a middleman. If they say that they want to be a middleman because they want to make all that gold from the middleman fees, that to me is an automatic disqualifier.
Man, the number of trades I don't even middleman, but that I spend
if you're
hours
trying to become a moderator or a middleman to make gold, that is an automatic disqualifier for me.
You just reminded me of.
I think I can agree with that as well. Yeah.
I think it happened a couple of times, but like. Whenever those like random German people would post like offering middleman services, and they'd like be wanting a 10% fee or something.
Yeah, it's just like
I was like, "What are you doing?
What are you doing?" It's like nobody knows who you are. You're just telling. It's like we're already at the time when we saw those posts, we were actually doing the middlemaning for free. Like we weren't even charging a fee at that point.
Yeah, definitely. Like I mean,
no, I think they came back at one point like after we started charging a fee. But we immediately shot them down. It's like, oh, you're asking for a 10% fee. Well, the official moderators of the subreddit just charge 2%. So what are you going to do?
That fee? Jesus Christ, imagine getting 10% on a check trade.
Oh my god,
good lord.
Yeah, I'll take 2k gold for
half an hour.
When it's even if it's a good
even
trade,
a bad one, yeah.
If they're doing legendary trades for it, then it's like less than 5 minutes that they're both set up. Like those are fine. So Mystic Coin trades are all long, but yeah. So if someone asks to be a middleman, and like we don't know who they are, and if they ever mention trying to they're trying to become a middleman so they can make gold. If that ever happens, that's immediately disqualified for me. So yeah, as Unravel just says, like you could be a middleman without being a mod. It's just that if you're going to be a GW2 exchange middleman, you're going to be a mod, and like there's people on like Guild MM's Discord and stuff like that they have people that people trust to be middleman too. Like you don't have to be a Guild Wars 2 exchange person to be a middleman. The key thing in middleman is just that it's just a third party that you're sending items to. They're checking and they're sending it on. So it can be anybody you trust. Though the idea is that it has to be somebody that both parties can trust.
Yes. Big emphasis on that part. It needs to be someone that both parties are familiar, are comfortable with.
Yeah. So like if you're rich but you're shady, that's never gonna work. That's basically what it boils down to.
I really hope nobody would ever use a certain other YouTuber to be a middleman. Because it's like
my god, Enko.
What are you gonna do with it? Like I don't trust that guy at all.
I mean I wouldn't trust either, to be fair. Just
the guy still dreaded karma. Like what do you think he's gonna do when you send him like 10,000 gold worth of items in game?
Oh my god.
I mean, you gotta say, like, I got banned from Reddit, like the Guild Wars 2 official Reddit, a week ago because they thought I was him. And I was like, I just got banned and instantly unbanned, and the mod, David Dude, said, yo, I'm really sorry, I banned you because I thought you were that other French YouTuber. I was like, no. He said, yeah, I thought you were just one of the 60 alt accounts I have already banned. And I was like, what?
Oh my god.
So yeah, now I'm safe, I got reinstated, I'm fine. But that goes to the wouldn't trust part. Alright, I'm just gonna take this occasion to close the entries for the Orin t-shirt giveaway. I don't know if you guys
there was an Orin t-shirt giveaway? What?
I'm doing one in the chat right now. I thought you were reading the chat. Just exclamation.
I didn't know why people were typing Orin. I just thought they were typing Orin because that's where
no, that's the comment to join.
Right I don't have one of those codes.
just join, man. Just join in. Come on. Like, we only have 27 people entered. That's like half of the people watching. We did drop 10-ish people from my internet going bonkers. I'm sorry.
You know, now, as we said earlier, we should not be seeing any of these being attempted to be sold on exchange.
Yeah, like, I mean, I know the codes, so if I see somebody tomorrow trying to sell the code, I'm claiming it on one of my alts. You'll be sorry. You'll be fucking sorry. Like, I mean, I know that some other YouTubers just give the codes to their friends, the community, or whatever. Giving away
Sam's shot cut out. He cut out in the middle of his shot.
What? Oh no, come on.
Stop turning your head.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. Fuck this. I need to put the microphone in front of my fucking face.
Oh, wow. It's been a year since I deleted my Garbage Toss character.
Okay,
I just got a birthday on it.
Congratulations. Okay, I'm closing the entries. And it's time to draw the winner. Lol, okay, Pi won! At long last, Pi won, but he already has one! I'm just gonna draw it again, yeah. And actually, it's the checkmate who's been on the chat since the start, so it's pretty nice.
Hey,
that's cool. I like it.
Oh, that reminds me, for checkmate had he was talking about the nodes and about how like it's so much gold to get those things and how it's not a good investment. So if you don't, I personally got all those nodes off the gem store and the ones you could buy off the TV because I saw them as collectibles. So if you're looking at trying to farm a home node because for profit, there are plenty of people that have full nodes or nearly full nodes that will let you go in there and use their home nodes, so you don't have to buy them on your own. So you'll generally see people offering those in map chat if you want to do that. Just
yeah, I wouldn't ever look at the home instant nodes as investments. Like, you get them because you want to like complete your home instant. It's not because you want to make money.
I guess that's another topic we could talk about while Sam's sending out that code. What upgrades on the gem store are actually profitable in a decent amount of time?
Upgrade extractor?
Upgrades from the gem store that are actually profitable?
Here's a good question. Items that you considered worthwhile to buy at the gem store because of either convenience or because they will return a profit.
Waypoint unlock.
All of the permanent contracts.
I mean, no, we said gem store. Slots. Like, I mean, these ones you get from the trading post.
Oh yeah, I guess you're buying them with gold.
No, one item that was...
Silver-fed, copper-fed.
Yeah, silver-fed, copper-fed.
Yeah, those are your by far the best.
So I'm going to let you guys answer, and then I'm going to give you my take on it, because of the four of us, I'm the only one that's heavily into the manufacturing side of things. So you guys go answer that question your own first, and then I'll give my 2 cents.
Well, for ones that are actually like you just buy with gems, silver-fed, copper-fed, some sort of pass, like a Royal Terrace pass.
Gobbler, I think as well, Halloween Gobbler.
Yeah, the Watchwork
Gobbler,
pick,
yeah.
The Watchwork pick was pretty good as well, back when the Watchwork sprockets had a good price. And I would also say that another item that is actually worth, or used to be, was the toy axe. Like, the amount of times I used that fucking toy axe, man. That toy axe was my life.
A lot of
that was great.
Some of the gathering tools as well, like the ones that give like leather, particularly
Sam's microphone keeps cutting out.
Jesus, I hate
unfortunate times. Because all I heard him say was, I used the toy axe for effing. I was like, what?
Jesus! Yeah, I really need to keep looking at the right side. Because I want to look at the Discord chat. Yo, you know what? I'm going to put the Discord chat on my second monitor. There we go. That way I'm going to look straight at all time. Perfect.
As Zomp said, a good one. Bank tabs and bag slots. Those are some good investments as well. Indirectly for liquid, but it's good because the storage space is really, really useful.
Alright, so for me, copper-fed, major convenience item.
Definitely.
And also the rate that I use it at, it actually does turn a profit versus a normal stock kit. Rune crafters, if you know drop rates, and silver-fed, if you know drop rates. The extractor is really nice. The bank tab is really nice. The TP is really nice. Actually, those are black.
Those are not gems, though.
Contracts. Yeah. Well, other contracts, I don't really consider the Blackline Merchant one because you could get a vendor from gambling.
Yeah, I've got my Sandstorm.
Also, the Mistlock Sanctuary pass.
Recharging Teleport to Friend, I think, is useful if you have a lot of characters and you have another account, so you could get them to a jumping puzzle chest. Like, I have all my alts stationed at the Draconis Mons jumping puzzle chest. If you have 70 characters, by the way, that's around 50 gold a day just by going to all your characters, if you have them there. Let's see, what else is useful? The Mystic Forge, that's gold.
No, that's gold. Yeah,
bank,
you can buy it for gold. Yeah,
it is gold, but
one of the passes. I would not recommend the Mistlock Sanctuary one unless you're doing fractals. I personally am a fan of the Noble's Folly pass right now because Noble's Folly is its own instance, and it's a very, very small instance, so it loads fast and your FPS doesn't suck in there.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
I guess it depends on how much you want to RP. If you really want to RP, get the Royal Terrace or the Mistlock Pass.
So then you got, I think bank tabs are useful because it helps a lot by transfer materials. It's also one of the things of how I can process so much stuff. Bag slots, well, with 32 slot bags, you need it. If you're doing a lot with unrefined materials, then the expanded material storage things are useful.
Yeah, storage expander is very good.
And for shared inventory slots, enough to carry all of your salvagers and your banks in your contracts. So everything for me is being able to move as many items as possible with as few character swaps as possible. So space, lots and lots of space. If ANET would let us buy as many bank tabs as we wanted, or bag slots, or material storages, I would probably buy another 50 bag slot or bank slots. I would probably buy like material storages up to like 30k probably.
Yeah, I would do the same.
I would just buy bag slots. If I could have like an unlimited, well, not unlimited, but like one character that just had thousands of inventory slots, I'd be so happy.
Yeah, same, to be fair. I would just put everything on my ranger and be happy.
I would only do something like that if they changed bag slots to be equipables instead of unlocks, so you can move the bag slots to other characters.
Yeah, that makes sense, yeah. It's just like build templates are one thing that are not worth buying into. Like, I made a mistake.
Build templates, man.
Yeah, just actually, let's not get started on this because I do need. You know, guys, I mean, it's the start of the day for Souls. It's the afternoon for you guys, but for me, it's half past midnight.
Now. It's fine for me. Yeah, I'm
I mean,
alive.
I mean, I have to get up in like 5 hours and a half to go to work. So at some point, like, let's not start a very long conversation. Let's like stick to one last subject and then call it a day. I'd say we can do another episode soon. So. The use of macros, did you say?
They're only useful if you use macros.
Oh, build templates?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they're so sad, too, because, like, Guild Wars 1 had such a good system. It was free!
Yeah. I mean...
And it was flexible.
It had its own advantages and disadvantages. Right now, we have a system in Guild Wars 2 that feels bad because we had something that worked before in the shape of our DPS. And right now, what they gave us wasn't anything beyond the build templates we already had, because we basically had a build template for PvP, one for World vs. World, and one for PvE. And if you merge all three of these, you get 3x3, and we ended up getting 2x3. So it's not like we got any value from that patch. That's the one thing I hate on. If there was
Man, I really miss all those like meme templates too from Guild Wars 1, where people would just link invalid builds that just had some stupid theme to them.
I do think I don't think a lot of us should entirely be surprised. Definitely disappointed, but not too surprised that they did have monetized the build templates.
That comment from the Zomp. Sam, let's not get into this.
We're doing it anyway.
I'm just equal to myself, okay? I get by on little sleep. It's yeah, I mean it works.
All right, well, so when I say that build templates are only useful for macros, here, let me post a little video of how I have my build template set up for my druid, if I can get to my page. Where's my page?
I don't know. Well, you know what the really frustrating thing too is ANET like outlined what they were going to do with build templates, and then they had like a solid month of the community complaining, saying like these are going to be awful, don't release it in the state. These are going to be awful. And then they release it in the state, and then put a feedback thread up asking for what they should change, after people have been telling them for a month.
Yeah, so
I mean,
when I say they're only useful
they...
with templates, so the problem is that I have a druid build, like a different druid build with pets and everything for almost every raid boss. And like I have 5 different gear setups that are covered throughout I use for raids, but you only can get 6 build templates or build loadouts.
Yep.
So, but you can use them. You can paste chat codes for it. So I set up some macros to that would like copy each build or each build to the build tabs. So I had to unlock 5. Or I had to get 2 more. Or I had to unlock up to 5 equipment tabs for my druid, and then I didn't have to get any more build template unlocks because I just needed 2. But that's the only way that they're kind of useful, because if you have that many builds, the game does not give you enough options unless they took the cap off. So I don't know. I think if they upped the number you could get to like 10, and then they made each of the unlocks be account-wide unlocks. So if you unlock a build template, it unlocks it for every one of your characters. I think that would have been fine.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot, honestly.
So,
Definitely feels restricted, which is kind of sad. Like, especially if you're someone who does like a lot of like raids and stuff. Like, the amount of templates we were given, like even, which like, if you're a chrono player, man, I feel sorry for you.
Like,
or fractals, because like if you're actually min-maxing and you're using all the different slaying sigils and force versus knight or impact and all that kind of stuff for every single one, and especially like you're going to want a legendary set for that, and then like all the runes or the sigil swaps. Like, if we can only have 6 build templates, it's like I had 24 templates for my power chrono, and then I had like 30 some for my druid, and then that's just those 2 characters. Every single one, like every power class that I ever played in Fractals, I had like in Arc DPS's build templates, I had the rune and sigil loadout for every single Fractal and every single raid boss, which it cannot do with the ADS implementation.
Like, it's so sad too that they killed Arc. Like, I understand why they did it, because they needed to make money, but you can't just kill like a fan project and then release an inferior version of that project for actual money.
So there are some things better with in-game templates, especially for Ranger, because like pets can be part of your template code, but you could copy and paste those with a chat code, which is nice. I like that it's instant changing, though. Then again,
those were artificial.
Yeah, the delay in Arc DPS were mandated by ANET. So. But like, I like it's instant. I kind of like how it forced them to give Ellies and engineers weapon swaps, because now you can put a sigil swapping or a sigil, like a stacking sigil on an open world and stuff like that, and not lose your normal sigils. I like that it works with druid or with ranger pets. I like that it did revenant things. There are certain things I like. If they were actual templates and not loadouts, I think it'd be a lot better. I also think they could have implemented like legendary gear into it. Like, legendary gear worked. A lot of people are still saying it don't work. Legendary works with it as long as you understand the quirks of the system, which nobody has really gone over, and it really hasn't addressed, so people don't know about it. But there's good things and bad things on it. They put too many microtransactions attached to it. It's a real problem.
They really devalued legendary upgrades with that patch too.
Yeah.
Like,
upgrades, yes. Legendary armor and weapons, I think, are very useful if you use a lot of different builds.
Legendary runes and sigils are just in such a sad state now. Like, there's almost no reason to get them anymore.
I think the big problem with them right now is that the cost to get them, like, if they were each like 10 gold each, then I think that they'd be worth it, because then you could use them in every single set.
Well, yeah, but there are some runes and sigils that cost more than 10 gold each.
Yeah, so like one set of legendary runes versus getting like, if you had 6 different builds, like build loadouts, then legendary runes would be better. But I think legendary runes are what, 150 gold each?
I think they're more than that.
Unlocked. Like, if you bought one, if you made 6 and they were like unlocks for your entire account, then that'd be great. Because then, like, if they were just applied to every single of your characters.
I don't know. Or if they had like some cosmetic effect, that'd be nice. They're legendary.
Yeah,
that'd be really cool.
I mean, that's if they actually care about that.
R2D2 said, you might as well just buy individual runes and sigil sets.
Yep. I mean, to wrap it up on this template stuff, it just
Hey! You got us into this. You said
yeah, I know. I got us into this, and I'm getting us out of it. You know, I'm like I'm good at this. You know, I got us in, I get us out. It's just like when playing D&D. I'm the bard. I make the wrong decisions. I save the party. No problem. So just to wrap it up on that, of course they made the templates in a way that is not very useful to us, and we have to get workarounds in order to get the same kind of like quality of life we had before with Arc. It actually clashes with some other systems that we have, such as the legendary armor, the legendary weapons, the legendary runes and stuff. Like, I mean, just unequipping a weapon from one set to another actually separates the rune and the weapon. I mean, the sigil on the weapon, so it makes no sense whatsoever to use legendary weapons on multiple templates. But still,
no, that works. It's just people don't understand how it works.
Yeah, but like, if people don't understand how it works, it means you've developed something wrong.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
It's supposed to be a feature for the players. If the players don't get it, that means the feature is made wrong. When I'm at work, when I make a spreadsheet and I show it to my boss looks at me and he's like, you know, Sam, I am the director of finance. I understand your spreadsheet, but you're going to give this to people that have never done Excel in their life. Change this. Yeah. It's unreadable. Oh. And that's the thing. And when it comes to Guild Wars 2, they only made this because they needed to get some extra money in that specific quarter. And I'm pretty sure they have a list of stuff they can ship, however finished it is. And they just shoot them in and out whenever they need some money to come onto their lap. So that's the sad thing about the build templates, and that's my take. Are
you saying that's why we got capes finally?
Yes, exactly. They have a list.
Desperation.
Man, they have a list of stuff they can monetize, and whenever they need the money, they just shoot it. I'm pretty sure that's the way it goes.
How long were they telling us that we couldn't get capes?
I mean, that's always what they tell
you. Fine.
I'm still waiting for them to
put it in the game, and it's like, oh, now we got them. They're just backpacks.
I'm still waiting for them to add the dyeable particle effects for legendary gear.
How about dyeable channels for weapons?
But that's not, guys. That's not marketable. That's the problem.
If they sold dye channels for weapons in the gem store, people would buy them. Because, like, you remember Guild Wars 1? How many times did you see someone running around with a pink Chaos Axe?
Oh, yeah. I had my purple Chaos Axe. That shit was great.
So it's like, if they sold, like, you have 4 weapons, and, you know, you, like, four dye channels each one. So if you had to buy 4 unlocks, you bought, like, if they monetize each individual dye channel, so it's like, you could buy 1 dye channel, you unlock 1 channel for every weapon. But if you wanted to buy if you want to get all 4, you had to buy 4 unlocks for it. I mean, they could monetize that. I just think they don't.
They'd probably have to do it on like some new like type of weapon going forward. I don't think they're willing to put in the time to like retroactively insert that into every weapon.
Well, they did say that's why they're doing that. That's what they're doing for backpacks.
Well, there's got to be a reason why they didn't do it in the first place, though. Like, there's got to be some technical limitation.
So, well, that
because it
statement about
that's all.
New backpacks will have dye channels. I mean, I'm hoping that they go back and implement that into the 3 legendary backpacks, because otherwise, new backpacks can be dyed, but the old ones, the legendaries, can't.
Man, that just makes me so upset whenever I see a piece of legendary gear that behaves like worse than what's available in the gem store. Like, that's just depressing, man.
You know, someone said it's like, oh, good thing the capes don't clip. You know what? I don't care if they clip. Like, that entire argument about why we can't equip different pieces of like outfits, because like they said it's like, oh, it's a quality assurance issue, or it's a QA issue because they didn't want armors to look bad because they clip together, stuff like that. They could do what they did in Guild Wars 1, where they have an armor set that looks good together, but you had the choice of mix and matching them, and if it clipped, well, that was your choice.
Oh, I still remember. Who was it that said it? There was some dev that said like they weren't allowing certain classes to wear like armor that looked like another class because they wanted you to be able to identify like what class of what class you were fighting
what
from a
armor
distance.
weight you were fighting.
Yeah, what armor weight class you were fighting from a distance. And then they just added outfits.
Yeah. So like the Armageddon heavy chest piece, I would have loved to use that on my human Ellie because like it would work for like a dark mage type like theme. But nope, we can't do it.
No.
Because we can't mix and match weight sets either.
Okay, guys.
Right.
I have a plan to finish this stream. Brilliant.
Get us back on economy stuff.
What is it?
No, I'm just gonna rip my internet again. No, just kidding. So jokes aside, we've been going on for quite a while. We talked about a lot of topics related to the economy. We presented the two new co-hosts on the stream. So we have the GW2 Exchange team in its full throttle right there. But what I wanted to do before we finish this, because at this point I'm going to sleep less than 5 hours, and that's not too good. I would just like it if every single one of us in this call right now could say one last thing about them, one last opinion or something they want to share. It can be selling yourself off, it can be plugging your content, your YouTube channel, whatever. It can be a thought you have for the future, something you look forward to in Guild Wars 2. Whatever, just each of you get like 2-3 minutes, go on about your own thing, and we'll close the podcast after that. I knew I could kill this podcast in one sentence. Woo!
Well, I'll start because mine's real quick.
Go for it.
Don't follow me on anything. I really would like to see the game. What I just really want from ANET is for them making playing the game to be more rewarding. Because there's a thing there's a problem you run into, honestly, and this is like I've said this before, but it's like a TP Baron problem, where once you have enough gold to just buy whatever you want, you see like how unrewarding it is to actually play the game, and how unrewarding it is to grind stuff. And I would just love it if ANET made it so that you could like work towards a really cool reward that was like that you earned from doing specific things. And you have that with like legendary armor, but not much else.
It's not too good, yeah. Yeah, so that was Dan who started the whole Guild Wars 2 Exchange like initiative. Dan who, as he said at the start, really came into the economy and made his first big deal with the Winter Presents release, the original one. And it's coming back in 8 days now because we have changed date because it's this late already. And so yeah, like it's coming back around. So if you guys don't have Winter's Presents yet, have a thought for Dan and go for it when it releases. Next person, step up.
Well, I got a YouTube channel, but I only post like my raid runs in it. Those aren't that interesting because we're not really doing cool strats right now. If you want to follow me, you can, I guess. I had a link for a video up earlier, but if people want to ask through the link, they can, I guess. I'm planning on starting to start streaming again on a more regular basis, probably like 4 times a week, once I get this new computer built. But that's completely dependent on when AMD's supply of the 3950X processor actually becomes available, which might not be for a couple of months because it's being sold out everywhere. Other than that, yeah, I'm just doing raids. We'll see what happens with Winter's Day. I know Souls is going to try plugging raid cells and selling gifts and masteries to him, so I'll say that now so that you guys don't have 10 minutes of advertisements for that. So I'm going to try to cover everything Souls would cover, but much more quickly. But yeah, other than that, that's it. So I'll probably make a Discord for myself, like when I start streaming. So because I'm going to see if I actually just make a go at it, just see what I can do with it. But one of those 4 days is probably not going to be Guild Wars 2 related, just because I probably need some variety. Yeah,
you do need some variety. So that was Anchor. I'll be posting a link to your YouTube channel and to your Twitch channel in the description of the YouTube video, like the podcast, once I post it there, so that people can find you. And when you actually get started on streaming more regularly, you should notify all of us so that we can plug you in on all of our respective communities. Like getting traction for each other and from each other is a very good thing, I think, because we're all into the same subjects. And having different sources of information is always the best for a viewer. And now...
Oh, I should also mention someone tried to bribe me to advertise sold as Ren's raid cells.
Really?
Yeah.
They messaged me as well, and I'm like, I was specifically told not to do this unless everyone else came into agreement, so yeah. But now that I'm given the opportunity,
Oh my god. Alright, so well then Soul's turn.
That bribe was too small, by the way.
Oh, it feels bad, man. Alright, well, Souls, it's your turn. Give it all you've got.
So I do have a Twitch channel if anyone would like to follow. Most of what I stream is mostly a lot of World roaming. Fairly different content to what you probably think a TP Baron will kind of do. I wouldn't even call myself a super high TP Baron. I just do a lot of player trades. But people will see me do trades with lots of different players on my stream. I obviously do raid cells because I am part of a raid cell group. So you are more than welcome to tune in to watch some of that. Of course, when I have the buyer's consent. To be honest, what I'm looking forward to in the game is alliances. As optimistic as...
See you in 2030, bro!
As optimistic as it may sound, one thing I'm looking forward to in this game is alliances. Whether it be next year or something, I don't know. That's one thing I'm looking forward to definitely start streaming with my guild. But again, feel free to check out my Twitch channel if you would like. I have a YouTube channel, but it's pretty dead. I don't really upload too much stuff there anymore because I moved everything over to Twitch. And that's about it from me.
Oh, and check out Guild Wars 2 Exchange, in case you haven't visited that site before. It's a subreddit. You can use it to buy and sell Guild Wars 2 stuff in-game, not RMT.
Oh Jesus, we just got raided by Mighty Teapot.
Right, oh my god.
I mean, this is awkward because it's my turn to plug myself. This is the most awkward.
Good thing I like gonna take 10 minutes, right?
No, I'm not gonna take... Dude, I need to go sleep. That's the problem. So, like, to everybody who just came over from Teapot's stream, we actually just finished our own podcast at the same time. So yeah, that's the awkward part. I'm not gonna go for an extra 2 hours, so that's not going in. But yeah, it was my turn to plug myself, but I'm just gonna like remind of everybody else before because they deserve the views as well. So with me today we had Dan, the initiator of the Guild Wars 2 Exchange subreddit and the community of trading players that comes around it. It's the safest place if you want to exchange some items outside of the trading post. You have trusted middlemen right there who are gonna help you not set up your trade, but make sure it goes well. So you do your own stuff on the side. We intervene when you need us. Then we had Enko presenting himself. So he has posted a lot of raid videos on YouTube. The tactics might not be the most meta ones, but the kills are nonetheless very good and deserve.
Well, not anymore. Look at the older videos.
I mean, I only looked at the older videos because you always upload in batch, and it fucks up the entirety of my subscribing page on YouTube. But yeah, so that was Enko, who is also a mod on Guild Wars 2 Exchange, who's been dabbing into the economy ever since Guild Wars 1, has a lot of knowledge on the game, and has shared a lot of it today. So if you want to watch the replay, there's a lot to be taken from what he said. Then we move on to Souls, who was saying that he actually is streaming activities that don't really have stuff to do with the TP Baron stuff. That's very good, because he is trying to become a Guild Wars 2 partner, so go watch him, help him out, help him get the numbers. Do something good with your days, help him out, do something for him, he deserves it, he's cool, and he also does giveaways on his stream, so like even if you don't like him, you can always get stuff for yourself. I'm sorry, Souls, but like, you're gonna give them every reason to come for you, man. Okay, and now we're gonna get to the last person of the podcast. So that would be me. This was a TP Baron podcast. Souls said he wasn't really one. I will say the same. I'm a TP Baron in name and brain, and not in wallet amounts. But still, I was very happy to do the first episode of this podcast and now the second one, because we always have a lot of stuff to share to the community. It's a completely different aspect to playing a video game than you would think. And I think it's a very healthy one and one you can take value from in order to put it in your real life. What I'm working on content-wise is still a lot of gold making guides on YouTube, but also how to set up for your own gold making. So like working with Excel, learning what the financial terms mean, and overall increasing the information you have at your disposal in order to be able to make something out of it. Like the most valuable stuff is what you learn, and that's what I want to give you guys. So make sure to check out the YouTube and the Twitch. And video game wise, I'm actually working, like going more towards playing competitive Pokemon. So I hope you're into that. Otherwise, just follow the YouTube because you're going to have the Guild Wars 2 content on there.
You cut out, Sam. Competitive what?
Competitive Pokemon. It's great, okay?
Oh, dude. I was big into that in Gen 4.
Dude, I actually love it. I enjoy it.
I was actually a top 50 ranked player on Spagon back in the day.
Dude.
Long time ago.
Which year?
I mean, it was when Diamond and Pearl were big.
Diamond
and Pearl, right before Gen 5.
I was after. I was Gen 6, so that was X and Y.
So I missed you then.
Dude, I was top 100, so we would have actually battled each other probably at some point.
I mean, maybe. This was like back on Shoddy.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I was like spamming games with like Klefki and like the later Mons, and I faced...
Oh, dude.
Yeah, it was horrible.
My favorite like stupid cheese build was my Trap Latias, where it had one more base...
Go away. No.
It had one more base speed than the popular Scissor build and hidden Power Fire. It was the most hilarious thing.
Dude, I hated when I face stuff like this. And no Pokemon stream right now. Souls, question for you. Are you going to start a stream now, or do I just shut this off?
I think we'll just shut this off. I'm going to take like a short little break. I don't think I'll stream today. I got worn out over the weekend stream. Thank you, though.
Then this is where it ends. Thanks, everyone, for having watched this podcast. I hope that you learned a lot of very interesting stuff. I hope that you're going to give all of the co-hosts the same kind of hype that you give this show and that you give to my own channels. Once again, Dandays, Enco, and Souls. Follow them on their on their respective social media. And I'll put a link to them on the YouTube version of this podcast. And that's it, I guess. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Stay around. Thanks for coming.